got another 8-boat race. Manhasset High School will be over here on the left side of your screen in lane 8. Shen in 7. Port Jefferson in 6. Burnt Hills in 5. Saratoga A in 4. Niskayuna A in 3. Manhasset High School B in 2. Fordham Prep in 1. And Augustin Classical Academy in 0. So all the way over there to the right is going to be ACA.
The drone's getting its workout today. It's a lot of boats on the course. A lot of boats on the course. We see a nice race going up in the front of the pack here. It looks like we've got Manhasset, maybe a slight advantage to Shen Crew in lane 7 over Manhasset, and Port Jefferson right there as well. So really tight racing between these top 3 boats here. This is a junior/U17 event. So some boats might be the Scholastic designation junior. That means that no one is a senior in the boat. And other boats might be trying to go to Youth Nationals, and they're a U17 designation, which means no one in the boat turns 17 during 2023.
Right. They're mutually both are true.
Both can be true. I guess by default, if you are U17, you're probably a junior, but just because you're junior,
right.
You're
so there are no
U17.
seniors.
That's
there are
right.
no 17-year-olds.
That's
Everyone is under 17
Could
or
be a 17-year-old in a junior boat.
Well,
not
not in this event,
yeah,
not
no
the
seniors.
U17.
Yeah.
But we have that ongoing battle for first and second. Really tight racing here between those first 2 boats, Manhasset and Shen.
And it's coming down here. They're already starting to come in front of us here.
At this point, you really want to try to sprint early, right? You can't wait until the last second, especially here on Fish Creek. You really got to make your move because you're going to run out of room. The 1500 just goes by that much faster.
We got a big sprint from Shenandoah going on, and I've got a little inside baseball. We share a boathouse with them, and this is their top boat. These are their top 4 guys, their fastest boat here, and they won the Saratoga Invitational in this category, and right now they're pulling into first place over Manhasset.
Had a really nice sprint there, going from about level with Manhasset to an inch of open water.
First for Shen, about an inch over Manhasset. Port Jefferson, the Port Jefferson Rowing Club, coming across the line here in 3rd. And then we got a tight battle between Burnt Hills and Niskayuna, 2 Mohawk River teams.
Both crews really winding it up there, trying to get every inch.
I had Niskayuna by about 2 or 3 feet on that, but a great race between both those crews.
And here comes Saratoga and Manhasset's entry.
Another tight race there. Out there on the outside there, I'd say that was probably Fordham Prep crew. And we've got Augustine Classical Academy.
Classic color combination, purple and green.
They're distinctive.
Can't miss them.
Can't miss them.
Good racing by all crews there in the boys' junior U17 quad.
That's excellent. Really, I mean, like we talked about, maybe 2-3 races within the race. I mean, how many, almost every single boat had a boat. They were going bow ball to bow ball.
Right.
Coming down there.
And oftentimes these crews find themselves in different racing positions, and it's up to the athlete to kind of decide what to make of it, decide how to respond. If you find yourself not in the fight you expected, how do you come back from that? How do you dig deep, find another gear, and find yourself in the fight you want? Versus sometimes it's more of a survival mode and you just take the fight you're in and make the best of it.
It's a lot to be asked of the high school athletes, right? And especially the junior U17 category. You know, these are not the older seasoned kids necessarily. You know, a lot of 15, 16-year-olds out there.
It's true.
So really, really excellent racing from the young men here to start the day.
Coming up, we have the girls' varsity single petite final. We'll have from left to right on your screens at home, Port Jefferson A, Row America Rye A, Saratoga A, Pelham A, Oyster Bay Community A, Saratoga B, Long Island Rowing A, Oak Neck Rowing Academy E, and Oak Neck D. So quite a full spread here. Again, all of these races here seeded by the time trials this morning. So time trial was pretty rough. The water was choppy right from the get-go of the day. And so in 2 minutes, we'll get this race underway and on to your screens at home or on the Jumbotron here in Fish Creek. If you're just joining us, I'm Hannah Painter here, an Orion athlete at Saratoga. rowing a single quite a lot here on Fish Creek. We do have a slight head current going against the race course. So oftentimes when we go out in our singles, we're kind of living on challenge mode, but going to be a little bit heavier. But these crews are getting locked onto the stake boats. You can kind of see from here at our vantage point from the finish line. Each stake boat manned by a volunteer stake boat holder that holds on to the crew's stern decks. And here we can see a beautiful start, awesome drone footage here for you from the New York State Championships 2023. So again, we've got quite a lot of racing. It looks like we have one open lane, so we might have had a last-minute scratch in the girls' petite final for the girls' single. Let's see, so that should be our lane 1 entry, so let me get that up to you. Oakneck E, not in this race. Otherwise, we've got everybody where they're supposed to be thanks to our volunteers and officials. And an early lead here, in about 150 meters into the race, almost 250, to our entry from Port Jefferson. Challenging Pelham Community, entry A. Currently with about a deck of overlap there. This is the girls' single event, so all of these athletes totally self-sufficient. Steering, all the thoughts in your head, technical calls, motivational calls. And again, in rowing, we face backwards, so it's even more challenging to be down in the single as you have to turn your head to get that visual feedback of where you are in the field.
But with a shorter boat length, it's way easier to make some moves.
It's true, it's true. You can be down a length and it's just taking a seat. Like, just go back in your 8, take a seat, and you're back in the mix.
Yeah. So Hannah, you raced a single last weekend. So around this time, what are you thinking?
All right, so we're about 500 meters into this race. Right now I'm thinking stay calm, because margins can be a little bit intimidating after the start. I don't personally have the best start. I'm a little bit clumsy in my technique at the moment, as I've been switching between sweeping and sculling, and so the second 500 is really where you can make a difference here. Your fitness can show off, and you can just chip away at a margin. So here we see the Port Jefferson entry on the left side of our screen with quite the advantage, but if these athletes can hang tough, put their blinders on for a few strokes, and just think about going as fast as possible, it'll pay off hugely.
Yeah, I know Andy had mentioned that, there might be a few different races within the race, and I think we're seeing that pan out here. We kind of have Port Jefferson, Roe America Rye, Saratoga Rowing A, and Pelham kind of all in a clump together, really with, Saratoga A, or Pelham and Port Jefferson kind of in that first and second potential position. And then you've got Oakneck D, Oakneck E, Long Island, and Saratoga B kind of in their own race.
Great shot here of the Roe America Rye entry in lane 7. There's Saratoga. I believe that's Mary Kennery, if I know her stroke. She's pushing on it. We're running out of room here, though. This is only a 1,500, and so it's crucial to find that balance between being comfortable in your pace and pushing it to that uncomfortable sprint pacing that you can try to execute here. Again, it's a headwind, a little bit of a cross, so these athletes living in challenge mode here, trying to find that run as the boat kind of tries to slow down in between strokes. In the single, it's really important to try to keep the boat moving in between strokes.
Totally, and these athletes are probably sitting around anywhere from 30 strokes per minute to 35 strokes per minute. And as we're coming into the last 500, we'll see that stroke rate come up. So that's how many strokes you're taking per minute. So anywhere between 30 to 35, depending on, if you're an athlete who likes to rate a little higher,
And we do have a headwind, so it might be a beat or two lower than normal. We don't know. Plus, this morning was rough, so it might be a little tired.
Oh, I would be.
I would be a little pooped. But it's Romare, Karai, Saratoga, and Pelham here on the high lanes, or closest to us here on the finish line shore, battling it out for second, third, and fourth. Looks like the Port Jefferson entry over here in lane 8, holding on to their early lead. Try to get you that race as it unfolds. We are on pretty short centers, or the races are very close together, so we'll try to get you the best coverage possible while getting each race. So here we have a nice shot of Port Jefferson athlete who's extended their lead to a few lengths of open water. Super impressive. And then on the right side of your screen, you can see the athlete from Pelham, I believe. Mary Kennery getting a lot of shouts here on shore. You can see her here from our vantage point at the finish line. Bright pink shirt, trying to make a move here for third place. But Romare, Karai, and Pelham making quite strong moves as well. In fact, Port Jefferson trying to just push off of this charging crew here.
It looks like Port Jefferson still has it, as you can see on the live stream right now.
Yeah, that lane 8 is Port Jefferson.
Lane 8, although it looks like lane 5 was ahead, we were just missing lane 8. So she...
Classic angles. Mary Kennery on the move here, trying to come in third.
Yep, we're seeing that stroke rate come up. They're in their final 10 strokes.
Trying to accelerate the boat as much as you can, empty the tank.
As she comes across, there is Port Jefferson. And then Pelham, Saratoga A.
And that's Romare Karai for fourth. Just got out sprinted there in the blue.
Oyster Bay. And then...
It was lane 4.
Yep, Oyster Bay, then Saratoga rowing B. And Long Island coming across, battling it out, but it looks like Saratoga B has it.
Tough battle.
Long Island A coming across.
And here comes Oakneck D. I believe Oakneck E scratched, unfortunately, for reasons unknown to us. Nice rowing here, Oakneck D coming across the line, super smooth. And just like that, we're gonna head back to the start line for our 12:23 girls varsity single final 1. So this is the grand final of the girls varsity singles. We've got Mohawk Homeschool C, Romare Karai B, Cascadilla Boat Club A, Oakneck Rowing Academy B, Oakneck C, Mohawk Homeschool A, Mohawk Homeschool B, Albany Rowing Center A, and Oakneck Rowing Academy A. So another 8-boat race here on Fish Creek at the New York State Championships.
And they are off about 250 meters in, coming across now. It looks like anybody's race.
Right? Life's what you make of it.
Yep, it looks like Mohawk B potentially coming out, maybe a bow ball ahead of everybody else right now.
Really tight racing here. We've got quite a few entries from a couple of programs, Oakneck and Mohawk Homeschool, to name just 2 with probably the most entries in this race. And we have Cascadilla, Romare Karai joining the party, Albany Rowing Center joining the party. But you got a lot of teammates in this race. How does it feel racing with your teammates? Caitlin, what do you think?
I've never raced teammates one-on-one. I'm not much of a sculler, so I can only imagine how internal it is. And, you know, at that point, you don't see them as teammates. You got to just see them as another bow ball, as another number, pushing ahead. I feel like having more teammates, that just makes practice more fun, right?
It's true.
Pushing people to go faster. And at the end of the day, right, success for the entire program, that's pretty huge. But for these guys, this is their chance to go to Youth Nats.
The big dance.
This is, and hey, these are the top, 8 single scullers in the state. So looking for some pretty fierce competition, and that's awesome that we have teammates
It's true.
that are able to be in
Fighting
this top
the
8
same
in
fight.
the state. Yes.
And there's Oak Neck. I believe it's A entry. Very smooth, coordinated stroke. A little bit more of the shoulders first than we may be used to seeing here at the Saratoga New York State Championship. Making it work here. The single is a great boat class just to kind of figure out what feels the best, what feels the most efficient to you individually. And so you can kind of play to your strengths.
Yep, now on the screen we have Albany Rowing Center A with a great swing. She's really hitting that finish, strong swing through, getting that boat.
And look at this pack here for third. 4 boats just overlapping, throwing punches at each other. The single is an interesting boat class to watch race as the boat speed is the most variable in the single, and so you have almost you can think of it kind of like momentum. So in an 8, you get a lot of momentum. The boat's hard to change speed unless something drastic happens. In the single, because it's such a small boat and everything is kind of more exposed technically, the boat speed can change dramatically stroke to stroke. And so it's really important for these single scullers to remember that anything is possible and they can get kind of on a roll here, especially in that battle for third. Each of those athletes hanging tough.
Mm-hmm. Yep, based on camera angle, it looks like Mohawk A has walked about halfway through her teammate, Mohawk B. Yep, we're getting a beautiful shot of Fish Creek here. And in lane 2, that's Romare Karai B.
You can see she's looking over again. No coxswains, no teammates in the single. So finding that external motivation relies on you taking a peek over your shoulder. It can be a risky game as it might throw off your balance or throw off your rhythm a little bit. So these athletes making that executive decision of how much external motivation do I need here versus just how fast can I go if I put blinders on and try to go as hard as I can.
Yep, Romare Karai in lane 2.
Looks like this Oak Neck entry in lane 3 really pushing on her. Again, we saw some exciting sprinting already in this afternoon round of heats or finals. And here comes Oak Neck A coming across your screen, winding it up. Again, this is not only for the bid for Youth Nats and potentially Scholastic Nationals, but these athletes are also just trying to learn, right? So how well can I sprint? How well can I execute this stage of the race?
What a beautiful sprint. She has opened up with about 5 to 6 lengths of open water. That feeling at the end, she's done, she's made it.
Here comes Albany Rowing Center with the orange. Well raced for open water for her as well. 6 and 3. Followed by 5. There's Rye B. Lane 4, I think, is another Oak Neck. Again, 8 boats across here.
And our Mohawk
or
C
9 boats, actually.
In lane 0. And that's Romare Karai B.
Great job. We got a little bit of an early start there, so everyone was really punctual and got into the stake boats early. I think she was the...
There's our scratch from the petite final.
Must have just missed the start. Or sometimes it's possible that they had some equipment issues up there at the start. But coming up next, we have the girls' U17 single final, and then we'll go pretty much full throttle switch to the boys' novice 8s. So hold on to your hats, folks.
Wildly different races where, you know, in this race it's been calm and
quiet,
cool, collected.
Everyone's just thinking to themselves. No, we don't really hear a lot of yelling during the
No.
singles.
And these are about to be pretty rambunctious.
True. And again, if we have 9 boats across, 9 times 8 athletes plus the coxswain,
Right.
quick maths, that's 81 athletes
Yep.
with all of their energies, and
Chaotic.
it's chaotic.
It is
so we'll go
chaotic out
from,
there.
we'll appreciate this
Even as
serenity
spectating.
here
Yes, even as spectating, it
while
gets
we
kinda
have
chaotic.
it.
But I'm so glad that this water's panned out for that that girls single sculling race.
Oh, pardon me. We have the pair before the girls U17 single, but this
okay.
will still be quiet. We'll still
Are we looking
appreciate
at
our
girls or
serenity.
looking at guys. just
Looking at
coming down?
girls.
Okay.
Girls varsity pairs. We've got Row America Rye C, posted a really fast time this morning. Nardin Academy, Row America Rye B, Row America Rye D, Row America Rye A,
Wow.
Saratoga B, Saratoga A, Albany A, and Oak Neck A.
You know, I'm not surprised to have so many Row America Rye boats. I remember, what was it, 2 weekends ago? That
2
we had
weekends
them
ago.
Up here and
Got quite a lot of depth at Row America Rye.
Oh, yeah, on both sides. So I'm interested to see, you know, maybe they broke up their 8, sent them out in pairs.
It's possible. A lot of programs, not just here at the high school level, but at the collegiate and even the senior level in women's rowing, are really prioritizing small boat skills these days. It's not enough to have the erg. It's not enough to just be able to yam on it in the 8. In order to be at the top of your level, you really need to be able to finesse the heck out of that boat.
Yep, and that
No
that
better way to
small boat,
learn it than
it's
the
gonna give
pair.
you all the boat feel. You'll know if you're doing something wrong. Where in an 8, it's going to be a bit more massed.
Looks like
and
we've got
a
a
bit more
start
set.
here.
Yep, they're definitely off.
Kaylin, what is your strategy for the start? What do you think about?
Ooh.
'Cause there's a lot of adrenaline up
Start
there.
in a pair. It's, you know, it's one of the slower ones.
Uh-oh, we see some steering issues here. It looks like in lane 8765. In lane 5 over the buoy lines. That can be a treacherous position in the pair, as those buoys are small, but if you wrap your oar around the string that they're
Ooh.
floating on, it can be similar to catching a crab. And we've got some almost oars touching between lane 7 and 6. How do we make the pair go straight, Caitlin?
I know, and honestly, this is not unusual off the start of
Oh,
a pair.
gosh.
I've
Oh,
had
gosh.
so many races
We've got overlap.
exactly like this.
I'm anxious.
Just because even if you were going up, and yep, we've got a lot of lane movement here, and we do have to recognize maybe these athletes are power steering, which means that they don't have any control of a rudder within the boat, which would be on the foot of one of the athletes. So they might be power steering.
Oh gosh.
So,
Oh gosh.
ooh.
And we do have a race officials
Okay.
out there trying to keep everybody safe, so they're just to know that they are shouting as loudly as they can
Yes.
from their official launches to regain control of their steering
We've
and not
had some
impinge.
close calls
We do-
here.
We don't want anyone kind of getting in the way of someone else's
Wow.
race. Stay in your lane applies to both traffic and racing here on Fish Creek. We've got quite a battle going on between lanes 8, 7, and 6. See who these crews are. From above, it's a little bit hard to see.
That's Row America Rye C, Nardin Academy A, and Row America Rye B.
They've pretty much been level this entire time. We're over 500 meters in, so that's over 2 minutes here in this headwind condition. Just staying level, that's a lot of relentless kind of stubbornness almost to really hang tough.
Yeah, and as you were talking about before in the girls singles race, you know, a few of these athletes are going to be looking across at their competition. This
Oh,
boat
yeah.
is again still pretty quiet. You have the bow seat, maybe saying 1, 2, 3 things at most, but they're pulling their hardest too. So not getting a lot of words out. So everybody's kind of looking around, and oh man, does that throw the steering off?
Right. We've got a battle here, so we have first, second, and third pretty tight. There's a little bit more separation against only a pair, so it may look like a big lead here for our, let's see, it's Row America Rye C entry, but Nardin and Row America Rye B hanging tough there. And then we have a nice tight race here for places 4th, 5th, and 6th with just 7th hanging off the back. Let's see if we can toggle over.
Romare Karai D having some steering issues, and honestly, I think they would be up in this front pack. They're just adding meters within the lane, bouncing back and forth. So definitely a good crew.
Might just have a big rudder on there.
Might just have a big rudder. You never know. Sometimes your water bottle gets stuck underneath that steering foot. And not much you can do about it when you're in the middle of a in the middle of a 1500.
But Romare Karai is at the C entry over here on the left. They're really opening it up here. They've pushed about astern, maybe a foot of open water over Narden. And Narden trying to hang on to contact here with Romare Karai B.
And then it looks like in fourth place we have Romare Karai D.
But charging.
Yep, totally coming up on that front pack as they're figuring out their steering, trying to stay straight in that lane.
And then next to them is also really staying competitive. They're going a little bit more straight, maybe over the buoy lines here. You can see they're rowing kind of in their puddles, which can actually be pretty jarring in terms of the boat feel and how, like, the oar's an extension of the athlete, right? And so it's like getting whacked during the stroke when you row in someone else's puddles or hit a buoy. But whoa, Romare Karai C rowing like they've got something to prove.
Exactly.
A rage row.
Coming across. They're about to come into their last 250 meters.
Seems that they started sprinting early. You can see their stroke rate's a bit higher than other crews. Trying to stay straight here, getting a little bit tangled there on the buoy line. These buoys are small enough to go under the oars, but if you whack them right at the precise moment your blade starts to go in, it can be pretty jarring.
So yeah, at the bottom of our screen, who's coming across the line first is, at the moment, Romare Karai C. Then it looks like Narden Academy A, Romare Karai B.
We've got Saratoga here on your screen as well, fighting for those 5th through 6th positions.
Yep, 2 Saratoga boats in this race, A and B, in lanes 2 and 3.
But here comes Romare Karai C, posted the fastest time of the time trial, taking advantage of this flatter water to prove it wasn't just survival rowing. They're actually pretty speedy out here.
Long, beautiful.
Remember, they were even 1,000 meters ago.
Strong finish for that Romare Karai C boat. Oh, wow, we've had some movement in the last 250 meters with Romare Karai B, I believe, coming across the line second, and then Narden Academy A coming across the line in third.
It's all happening so quickly out here.
And I believe that was Saratoga Rowing Association that just came across. And that's Saratoga Rowing Association B coming across the line. And in lane 1, we have...
let's see. Albany.
Albany.
Yep.
Albany A.
I think we had 2 bow number 8s out there, Caitlin.
Did we?
I got a little confused for a second.
I think then if we did, yeah, I thought... Well, great job to all crews. That Romare Karai C boat, pulling away in that last 500 meters.
It was impressive.
It's not over till it's over.
Got the fitness, got the boat moving skills. Small boats are super tricky, so hats off to all of these athletes taking on the challenge of the small boats. It's hard to hide in the small boat.
And I'm sure we'll see some of those athletes in 4s or 8s later this afternoon. Yeah, figuring out how to row pair, it's never going to hurt you, right?
No,
if you're planning on rowing collegiately, most colleges end up taking the entire fall to row pairs, get everybody back into the small boat feel. That helps immensely in an 8. If you can have, if you can move a pair well, you'll be able to move an 8 well.
Right. Coming up, we have the girls U17 single final. Got another full fleet here, 9 boats across. Oak Neck A, Niskayuna A, Port Jefferson A, Oak Neck C, Brighton A, Emma Willard A, who's actually a former Saratoga athlete.
Is
Leslie
she?
Mayer, yeah. Coached her as a modified athlete or the middle school program here.
Awesome.
Oakneck B, Manhasset A, and Oakneck D. Pretty cool. So U17, all athletes are 16 or younger in 2023. We've got a start for here. Super cool drone footage. We should have a little bit less trouble steering here as one athlete in charge of both oars. Sometimes you have some left or right hand dominance pulling you around, but by this stage, hopefully these athletes have had enough time to practice and working in the weight room to balance those imbalances out.
Looks like a small early lead from Oakneck Rowing C. But again, still super tight, kind of coming across those first 250 meters. So you definitely won't win the race in the first 250, but you definitely can lose it. But all of these athletes are definitely within winning range.
Coach Eric Catalano of the Orion program and a legend of Saratoga rowing here on Fish Creek. He says his race plan is to build such an insurmountable lead early on that you have the psychological you have the psychological advantage, and you just hold on to that lead for the whole rest of the race. So it's a bold strategy. You can burn yourself out a little quickly if you're not careful.
You're not careful.
So these athletes trying to find that balance here. Ooh, a little pivot here. So we'll be looking at lanes 0 on the left if we hold on to this angle. Oh, no. Let's see which bows we have.
That's all right. We're getting a little choppy.
We adapt, we overcome. So Oakneck A over there on the far left, just in our screens now. Niskayuna A will be wearing red. Port Jefferson usually wears a nice baby blue. Oakneck C, I think she's there in the middle of our screen. And then far over, could be any number of these crews on the low lanes, maybe Brighton Rowing Club. Just leaving our vision here.
Yep, so these girls could be freshmen, sophomores, juniors, most likely not seniors, as we're, again, still in the U17
There's a
category.
nice shot of Niskayuna. Just trying to hold on to contact as we got two boats here battling out lane 4 and lane 8. So that's going to be Brighton and Oakneck. Really nice battle here. Worth noting those two crews, those two athletes are 4 lanes across from one another. So peripheral vision out the window. You got to actually take a full peek over your shoulder to get a sense of where your competitor is. One of the unique things about rowing in these big races, it's not like running around a track where you can feel everyone's presence and see everyone coming. Each lane's about 10 feet wide, sometimes 15.
Yes, but thankfully in a single, it is slow enough that you can recorrect your steering pretty easily if you're applying, correct pressure and even pressure on both of those blades. So
here's our Niskayuna athlete here. Power braids rocking, followed closely by Port Jefferson, who's just trying to hold on to contact, but that Niskayuna athlete has quite the advantage here, able to see every move that next athlete makes from Port Jefferson and respond. But Brighton here really opening it up, trying to prove something to this Oakneck A entry. We'll see what kind of sprints these young women have. Caitlin, when do you start sprinting?
Ooh, it depends on the race. On the erg, it's going to be different from on the water. On the water, you got to decide in the moment. And that's easier to do, obviously, with the coxswain than in any other boat. Or obviously, if you're in a single, you can decide when to go whenever you want. But I normally like a good breath at the 500 meters. Get your lungs filled with air. Realize you're in the last, hopefully under 2 minutes of the race. And then at about 300 meters, hit a good strong legs, try to get that split down. 250 meters, start bringing the rate up a bit.
Beautiful
and
strokes here from that Brighton sculler too.
Some good tens
You
from
see
there.
she's looking over every few strokes. She's winding it up now in the red buoys. Oftentimes the red buoys is kind of the like standard time to start sprinting. The buoys change from yellow or white to red, kind of like waving a red flag in front of a bull. And here comes Brighton and Oakneck A here, 4 lanes apart. From our finish line vantage point, it's hard to tell who has the current advantage, but Brighton had a really strong second 500 here. We'll be able to see how good of a last 500 this athlete has in her back pocket. She's looking over, rowing well, but it's a long day. We had a rough morning. Day.
She's built a pretty nice lead.
And Niskayuna holding off our charging Port Jefferson for this bronze medal position. Really competitive here. Port Jefferson is at, like, I don't know, a 50?
Yep, we've got a great race in lanes 7 and 6. It will come down to the line.
And that Niskayuna.
Oh, she got it.
She's able to respond. Again, she had the lead, so she was able to see that Port Jefferson athlete start her sprint.
Goosebumps.
I have goosebumps too.
That was
live from the
awesome.
finish. Here comes lane 2 coming through. It's going to be our Oakneck B entry, followed by lane 3. They had a nice battle all the way down the course. Emma Willard. And here comes
lane 5.
Another Oakneck potentially.
Lane 1.
Lane 1's Van Hassett. Lane 0, Oakneck D.
Beautiful race by all
just
crews.
Like that, we have glassy water.
I know.
What's
I wish
going
we were
on?
out there right now.
And you know who gets to take advantage? Not only the U17 singles, but the boys novice 8s.
Novice 8s.
What a treat. All right, so I'm going to hand it off my microphone to Andy Sales, who's going to come and give some color commentary. Coach of Burnt Hills Rowing. Has both boys and girls coaching experience.
So we've got this boys novice 8 final 1. Looks like they're getting into the starting blocks now. So if you're unfamiliar with the starting blocks, there's a floating dock out there with somebody on it. So these 8s have to maneuver their way so that the person laying down can hold on to the stern of the boat. And then there will be an aligner, somebody on shore, making sure all of these boats, as they might be different lengths because different brands, different manufacturers will make different lengths. You know, only by a few inches or so, but we have to make sure they're all starting at the exact same spot. So a smaller boat will be pushed out a little bit, and a bigger boat will be pushed in. So we have those stake boat holders is what we call them, holding the sterns of all of these 8s. Pretty tricky to get yourself in there with a bigger boat, especially as a novice 8. You might not have nearly as much experience getting into these stake boats, so especially, bigger boat and everybody's nerves, so might not be listening completely. So we are looking at that process happening now.
One of the boats is dramatically pointing a different direction than the other ones. Usually not good. And so they're working on it in this category. But in terms of getting the wind dying down, less choppy water, that's great for the novice 8 category because by the definition of being in a novice, they should have all learned to row in the last year, right?
Yes.
These all have less than 365 days of rowing experience in theory. And looking from right to left here, we're going to have Brighton Rowing Club out in 0, Kellenberg Memorial High in lane 1, St. Joe's Collegiate out of Buffalo in 2, St. John the Baptist in 3, Fairport Crew Club out of Rochester in 4, Friends of Port Rowing from Long Island in 5, Canisius High School out of lane 6, that's another Buffalo high school, Pelham Community Rowing down in Westchester in 7, and Row New York out of lane 8. Now, their Row New York used to have Manhattan, Brooklyn, not exactly sure which boathouse or if it's all in one boathouse there, but this boys novice 8 category is underway here. And there's nothing more frantic than the start of an 8s race, let alone with 63 teenage novice boys out there. It's exciting.
Yes. You can see a lot of water being picked up, splashed around. Not always the most efficient way, but they're just trying to haul on it, get their boat out ahead, as Hannah was talking about before. That first 250 meters, if you have a lead, definitely psychological factor to be able to keep pushing away rather than focusing on walking back through somebody if you're down.
Especially, again, the less experienced crews, you definitely want to lead from the front. And then in the 8s, it's a lot tougher to switch speed. You know, for you ladies that were calling the singles and the pairs earlier, there's more time for stuff to happen. You can make a sudden switch, drop 5 splits in the single, and take a boat length. Whereas you're covering 60 feet here, getting this 8 to go 5 splits faster than it's already going, unless you're, you know, sandbagging it out there, you don't have 5 splits to go.
Exactly, yeah. As we saw in that previous race where lanes 7 and 6 had a dogfight until three strokes to go, and then lane 7 was able to pull out about a deck ahead. That's probably not going to happen in this race.
As we look at these finals here, the finals are seeded from the time trials, and so as a rule of thumb, the fastest crew in the time trial will always be on the left of your screen, and then it'll pan across to the right with the 8th or 9th place crew from the time trial being all the way to the right here. So it's not going to be uncommon to see the lead boats out towards our left, and right now in the front 3 here, we've got a nice battle with Row New York, Pelham Community Rowing, and Canisius High School. So 2 club programs, downstate New York, New York City area, and then a Buffalo High School.
Yep, fairly even. It looks like Row New York might have about a deck ahead of Pelham.
Pelham's got a distinctive blue hull. When they row those hulls, they're easy to pick out there. The white tops with the blue bottoms, that's Row New York nearest to us with the black and teal. We can see Canisius there popping out to the side. They're going to be navy with a little bit of gold on the side. And there's one thing you can say about novice 8s, and I've got a little experience in this category. I was the novice head coach at CRI for the boys for 2 years. That's community rowing in Boston. And if there's one thing that novice boys 8s do, they go for it. They're out there rowing hard.
Yep.
They're doing what they can control.
Yes, experimenting with caffeine beforehand.
Hopefully not, but we know it happens.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's definitely a lot of coaching of, hey, coach, do you think this is a good idea?
Exactly.
Absolutely not. Please don't.
Protein powder is starting to kick in.
That's it. You got to maybe tell mom and dad that creatine's not a steroid.
Right,
you know, these sorts of some wild conversations.
Exactly.
I explained to novice boys at the parent meeting to the parents, your kids are like puppies, right?
Yes.
Their feet are too big. They're pretty uncoordinated. They eat a lot, you know, and sometimes they make a mess in the house. But they're going to be they're good kids and they're doing their best.
Their body's changing, rowing, leaning out, getting nice long lean muscles.
This battle continues to shake out here in front. I would say that Row New York probably still a deck over Pelham here, as you called earlier, Caitlin, but no one's given an inch here. We're holding steady.
Canisius has not lost contact, though, off of Pelham. They're holding on for that 3rd place, but like Andy, like you said before, you know, having multiple races in one race. So it looks like we have a good race for 1st, 2nd, and 3rd with Canisius, Pelham, and Row New York out in front. And then who is that? Friends of Port, Rowing, Fairport Crew, St. John, St. Joseph's, and even Kellenberg.
Yeah. Which is fun. It's what you want as a high school athlete. You know, really any athlete. It's a boring race if you know you're not going to catch who's in front of you, but you know you're way ahead of who's behind you. You're out there doing it by yourself. It's kind of quiet. And so, yeah, maybe you want to be in this medal race up front here, but it's still fun to get 5th if you were battling for 6th or 7th.
Yep. Looks like Pelham just took a move there in their last 250 meters here.
This one's going to get interesting coming down. As they come into view in front of us, it's Row New York in front still, but Pelham is putting a sprint on. Canisius trying to hold contact here through the line. Row New York looking strong, though.
Yep.
Novice boys 8, the blades are getting in nicely. They're picking it up off the front end. Staying within their boat. We don't see heads flying all over the place. And it's going to be Row New York pushing it out to about a bow to stern win here in the Novice Boys 8. Congratulations to Row New York.
all three of these crews, although they're tired, they held on strong and were able to keep up with their good technique through the finish line.
There's Canisius coming through, nabbing third place overall, but the top Scholastic spot. So they're all from one school, and they're going to get a Scholastic gold medal out of that.
Now in lane 4, coming across St. John's A.
Just slightly over Port, probably, I would say that. And on the far side, I think that was St. Joe's Collegiate. That blue and gold there, I think, is probably Kellenberg.
Yep, looked like we potentially had a crab in Brighton Rowing A, but they're back on it. About 7 strokes to go to the finish line.
Here we go. We're finishing strong here.
And they are across the line, Brighton Rowing Club A. And that concludes the boys novice 8, final 1.
A great novice 8. And one of the fun things with that event is it's just about this race. There's not a novice 8 at the Youth Nationals. There's not a Scholastic Nationals one. This is it for those guys.
Yep.
They learned to row this year, and that is what we just watched is, hey, in 1 year rowing, here's what I'm able to do. And for some of those athletes, a lot of them, it's pretty impressive. They did a nice job out there for all those novice 8s.
Yeah, especially from Row New York, Pelham, and Canisius High. That was a great race, and those athletes have definitely prepared themselves for a shot at the varsity squad next year.
They're looking to move up, making a name for themselves. That's it. You come off of here, you got your nice novice medal, you're feeling pretty excited, and maybe you see the varsity guys come in and you say, hey, it's going to be me next year.
Yep.
You better watch yourself, bud.
That launches you into next year.
That's it. It's all momentum from here. Next up, we've got the boys U16 Cox Squad. This is one of the newer events that the U.S. Rowing has been offering at the Youth National Championship, trying to promote age group rowing, which is more similar to how a lot of the international rowing federations have their championships set up, and also promoting sculling for the younger athletes. If you want to speak on that a little bit more from an elite athlete perspective.
Yeah, I mean, as when I was in high school, it was 6 years ago, 7 years ago, they were just trying to introduce the pair into high school rowing. So I was one of the first groups that got to race the pair at some of these races. And it's awesome to see how it's evolved since. Everything used to just be that you only used to have novice and then the rest of the crew. So I think it's awesome that you're able to race against people who are in your age category. Evens out the playing field a little bit.
Oh, some times coming across here, nice.
The finals from the girls varsity. Yep, that Oak Neck Rowing Academy at 5:55, Albany at 6:07, Mohawk B at 6:10, Oak Neck B at 6:11, Mohawk A at 6:15.
We've got a good mix there. We've got a couple Long Island, Albany Rowing Center, obviously fairly local. Mohawk Home School, they row on the Mohawk River with us at Burnt Hills, and Castadale Boat Club, that's out of Ithaca, New York. So we're getting geographically diverse in the state here. But congratulations to the women there, especially those that have punched their ticket to the Youth National Championship in these senior level events. That's often the goal. And for some of those athletes, I think if the Albany athlete is who I'm thinking of, she's competed in the U17 single at Youth Nationals, now stepping up into the varsity single.
That's
so
awesome.
if that is the same athlete.
A whole nother ballpark, though.
It is.
Whole nother ballpark.
No doubt about that. No doubt about that. These U16 quads here are not quite in the stake boat yet. Now, this event, the Cox Quad, the 4X Plus, if you see it, these athletes are going to have 2 oars, traditionally just like regular sculling boats, and it's a quad, but there's also a coxswain in there. The reason for that at these younger age categories is they don't want to make them steer also. Right?
Yeah.
We got enough on our plate trying to go from A to B as fast as we can, and we don't necessarily need a 14 or 15-year-old on the toe carving it up out there. As exciting as that may be.
Yes. We had a race the other weekend with one freshman novice quad. and they decided to span across 5 separate lanes.
Sure.
And I wish they had a coxswain.
No doubt. And sometimes there's steering issues. Sometimes it's out of the cruise control. And then, maybe they sit there, they say, listen, we paid our entry fee. Mom and dad have shown to driven a long way, and I'm going to cover as much distance as I can. I'm going to get my money's worth out there. It might be the mindset, at least when I watch my crews come down sometimes and they're not going straight.
Right.
Must be a good reason.
Oh, yeah. A nice long race. Who doesn't want that? So
anytime they can come in with the speed coach and they go, we covered 1,700 meters in a 1,500-meter race. It's always a nice accomplishment, guys. We'll see if they'll give medals out for that one next year.
Oh, geez. Yeah, we have a 5-boat race in this boys U16 coxed quad. A 12:55 race. Looks like we are behind slightly. In our live stream, you can see they're getting into those stake boats that we had talked about before. But again, just such a beautiful day. We've had regattas here the past few weekends, and with some unhappy parents as it's just torrential downpour. Nice hefty wind and just cold. So very blessed to feel the sun with very little wind, some good flat water now. Definitely different from this morning. But
we've had some folks get spoiled. Saratoga has a reputation sometimes fairly or unfairly for its weather conditions at its regattas, and about the last year and a half or so, it's been exceptionally nice. And I think for the uninitiated, they might have gotten a little bit complacent.
Yes.
And then Saratoga Invite Saturday morning when it didn't break 45 and I'd been in the rain for about 5 hours before it was even lunchtime. I said, here we go, we're back.
Yep.
We're back here. This is what it's like. But I mean, what a gorgeous day this has turned out to be.
I know.
Just enough wind, keeping it cool, a little bit of cross tail maybe coming down the course of the times, getting a little bit of speed bump, but not enough to cause the chop like we had this morning. A thing is too much of a good thing when you get tailwind, because the current comes into the course. So there is a slight current coming off the lake going from the finish to the start line. And when you get a tailwind, which should help you go fast, go against the current, things get choppy.
Now, Andy, as a coach yourself, what do you expect from these athletes over the summer?
That's something that we talk about a lot. And generally speaking, it depends on what the athlete's goal is, right? And that's what we try to talk with the athletes about. If you want to make maybe a top varsity boat, especially if that's not an 8-person boat, maybe it's a quad or something like that, and you're anywhere from the 4th to 5th or 6th fastest athlete on the roster. Well, if 1 through 4 is rowing this summer, you're going to make up ground on them if you're not rowing, right? Is that your goal? Do I want to row in college? Do I need to go to a D1 school in my mind, but my ERG score isn't quite there, right? Or am I a kid that just really likes rowing? We've got a lot of multi-sport athletes at Burnt Hills, which is something I'm really proud of. So we'll have girls that'll go back to a state championship volleyball team. We'll have girls that'll go back to a state championship field hockey team. We got a couple boys on the soccer team right now that we added this spring. If they want to do rowing over the summer, that's going to be awesome. That's going to be really cool. But they're not even going to row in the fall, right? We might not even see them until next March. But their goals aren't to medal at youth nationals, right? Their goal isn't to row at a Stanford or a Princeton or somewhere like that. So I think it's good for coaches to try to meet the athletes where they're at. That's our goal, at least.
Yeah, as long as you're staying active, if you're not somebody who's, who has those high goals, high hopes, I feel like, if you are playing volleyball, if you're playing basketball, lacrosse.
The summer that I didn't row in high school was actually really the catalyst for me to take rowing more seriously. I had rowed from 7th grade, and then the summer going into my junior year, families traveling to Europe, which was great experience. My parents said, you're not going to miss that much practice and still have us pay for rowing. You're just going to get a job instead. Worked at a mini golf and ice cream stand off of Exit 11. Shout out to Dan's Mini Golf. Didn't row, gained about 25 pounds in one summer, not in good weight. Got to rowing in the fall and said, this is a mess. And by that the end of my junior year, I had lost 40 pounds and dropped my 2K like 20 seconds and said, I'm going to be a rower now. So, sometimes the summer off can be a good thing. Who knows, right?
Oh, yeah. I had one girl in college who's actually still rowing, and she somehow broke her leg and took the summer off and came back and on our opening 6K PR'd. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes your body needs the break.
That's something. I mean, that's,
I know. And especially at the collegiate level. And
yeah. She didn't have a slow score to begin with, I would imagine.
Nope. I think her PR before was about 147 split. I think she ended up going low 146. So
that's it. That's for
coming
all,
off a broken leg and
for all you high school boys out here who think you're tough. There's Caitlin here is talking about a female teammate in college who had a broken leg and still pulled a 146 6K. So you got some work to do, boys.
Yes.
I think we have
one boat
a boys 4 lining up here. I don't think that I see coxed quads in the stake boats, but I think we're probably looking at the boys varsity 4 petite final 1 would be my guess. We can see a coxed quad rowing back to us. It's
off of the course.
Off of the course.
Which
now,
means that they're not planning on coming down.
That's
Something
right.
happened.
There could be breakage. There could be any number of things that go on. Sometimes the race gets re-rowed. Sometimes it gets pushed back in the schedule. There's a lot of stuff that could happen.
Yeah, and that breakage can kind of be anything. I mean, there's a lot of parts on these boats to get these riggers down. You've got a nut, you've got a bolt, you've got some washers, some lock washers. You can have a multitude of things on these boats. It could be any assortment of things. Something could be wrong or loose with the oar, with the rigger, with a foot plate. That happens to me. It has happened to me a few times. And if everything's not locked down, something is going to go wrong. You definitely don't want to break the equipment, and you want to feel that you can go as fast as possible. You don't want to have to be worrying about, oh my gosh, is my rigger going to fall off? Am I going to catch a crab? Is my oar lock going to open, right? So many other things you want to be focused on. Matching with your teammates and pulling your heart out in these races. So any sort of breakage is definitely, at least if it happens outside of the race. Inside of the race, you got to get across the line.
Right.
But outside of the race, if you can manage to get that fixed, it is definitely worth your while.
You know, and I think it's good if that is what's going on here. You know, I think it's good of the regatta in New York State rowing to make the effort to give the athletes an opportunity, right? This is the under 16 category.
Yep.
That means they're 15 years old at the oldest. They're new in their careers, right? Stuff happens, whether it's, you know, something the athlete can control or not. But let's make sure they have a positive experience here and get to put their best foot forward. So when we know what's going on with the U16 Cox Squad, we'll definitely report ahead. But we can see what I would imagine is probably the Port Jefferson.
And that happens at any age categories too. I mean, collegially elite, you know, there's so many things to think about on race day. It might be one bolt that you overlooked. So they are safely paddling in, but it looks like we have a race off, and that is the boys of varsity 4, their petite final.
We're going to go from left to right here, and 0 is going to be Cortland Community Rowing, Friends of Port in lane 1, Wappingers Crew Club out of the Poughkeepsie area in lane 2, Our Lady of Lourdes, lane 3, also Poughkeepsie, Kellenberg Memorial in 4, Rhinebeck High School in lane 5, Poughkeepsie area, Manhasset lane 6, Riverdale Country School in 7, and Spackenkill Rowing Club in lane 8, you guessed it, the Poughkeepsie area. The reason I happen to know that is I went to Marist College and graduated in 2012, and I coached a little bit at Hudson River Rowing Association, which during the summertime is a large club made up of almost all those high schools I just listed. They all come together and they row together in the summertime. So, you know, there's a boathouse rivalry playing out within this petite final for, I think, let's see, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4 crews. 4 crews that share a boathouse are in this petite final. The camera pans us out here. The higher lanes are going to be nearer to us. So that's Spackenkill with the green and white close to us here. Out in front, that is the Riverdale Country School. My apologies to the Riverdale Country School. I'm not exactly sure where they are, but they are out in front. And in 7, they're dueling with Manhasset right now.
Yeah, we've got some funky bow numbers happening right now. We have 2 7s.
We do have 2 lane 7s. I can pick up. Manhasset is in, well, they're in lane 7. They've got their bow 7. It appears as Riverdale also has the bow number 7, but they are occupying lane 8 here. We've got Spack and Kill in lane 9, sporting a 0. And if anyone's trying to test Caitlin and I right now, I think we're doing pretty well. I think we're nailing it. What a great shot here. The quality of this camera. Getting a good look at Spack and Kill. Mom and Dad, hope you're watching at home if you're not up here.
Yeah, but if you are up here, we do have a Jumbotron. It is, if you saw those circus-looking tents, if you came here to park here, they were on your right-hand side as soon as you walked in next to that Ben & Jerry's. So if you're looking to cool down, grab yourself a scoop of ice cream. That Ben & Jerry's is right there, as well as what's the name of that soda?
Wild Bills.
Wild Bills is right outside as well.
Athletes, wait till you're done racing to go to
Yes,
the Wild Bills.
yes.
Nothing drives you crazy like a coach.
Buy a Momenta cup and you
Yep.
get free refills all day, all weekend.
Once you're
All
done
weekend.
racing.
Once you're done racing. But if you head over there, get yourself some soda, some ice cream, and a Jumbotron is there. So if you're having a hard time squinting at your phone, seeing all of this amazing footage that we have, there's a Jumbotron over in that area.
We've got good footage here of Spack and Kill and Manhasset. Manhasset pacing Spack and Kill a little bit. And the Riverdale Country School, they're off our screen. They're out in lane 8 in front, open water on the group there, and they're keeping the rate up. They're being aggressive. In the pack here, we see the purple, gold, and white. That's going to be Rhinebeck. Wappingers on the far side in the red, white, and blue. Lords with the navy and gold blades there.
Yep. Within our last 500 meters, closing in on our last 250 meters of this race.
There goes Executive Director Eric Catalano with a barge full of children that go hold the stake boats. Cut the wake, Eric.
I know. So these athletes are going to feel that wake in about 20 seconds. It'll feel a little bit like a roller coaster.
You see
but if
Port
they can
there
keep
with
their
the
heads
black
down.
blades with the Viking helmet. And that's going to be Cortland Community Rowing.
We've got a good race, honestly, across all lanes as it looks like they're coming across their last 250 meters.
Looks like Manhasset is stretching away from Spack and Kill a little bit here. The pack is closing a bit on Spack and Kill. Riverdale School still in the lead position, but Manhasset is getting after it.
It looks like Spack and Kill's got a race with, looks like Friends of Port.
On the far side there. Yep. Exactly. Friends of Port closer to the park is, you know, and you're able to be a little sneaky out there, right? They're many lanes away from Spack and Kill, might not even know they're there. Right now, Riverdale has seen the challenge from Manhasset. Their coxswain sitting bolt upright.
Still with contact.
Still with contact, but they're going to be able to hold here.
Yep. Last 2 strokes for them and across the line.
Congratulations to the Riverdale School over Manhasset here in the petite final, second level final here for the boys quads. There's Spack and Kill holding off the challenge from the rest of the field. That's going to be Port,
Yep.
Rhinebeck, Wappingers, very close for Rhinebeck and Wappingers. Kellenberg, Cortland, Our Lady of Lourdes, and I think that's the field.
Great race for all crews, and I'm wondering if we're going to see that Cox squad that we talked about earlier coming down next. Or
That's a good question.
When they will be rescheduled. So if you had an athlete in that race, they did not come down yet. You did not miss it.
That was the U16, not the U15,
Yep.
but the U16.
The U16.
So we're on to the boys' varsity 4 final here. This is the A final, the grand final. This is where the medals are decided, where the youth nationals and scholastic nationals placements are. And we're going to go from lane 0, that's all the way to your right, is going to be St. John the Baptist. City Honors in lane 1, St. Anthony's in 2, Nichols in 3, Oyster Bay in 4, Canisius High School in 5, Fayetteville Manlius out of the Syracuse area in 6, St. Joe's Collegiate Institute out of Buffalo in 7, and Row America Rye in lane 8. Hannah, what do we see so far?
All right, so we've got quite a lot of separation here between the high lanes and the low lanes. The high lanes on the left side of your screen here all have overlap with each other, maybe a little bit of overlap between lane 7 and lane 1. So that's going to be St. Joe's and City Honors that are kind of bridging the gap between the front runners and the trailing crews. But quite a lot of overlap here, again, as I said, between these high lane crews. So basically everyone between Royal America Rye A on the left and, let's see, should be 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, lane 3 of Nichols School, all really tight here. We're already coming into the last 500, so these athletes are going to have to decide when to start their sprint. They do have the coxswain in the boat. If you're new to rowing and you're like, where's my child? They're tucked down in the bow of the boat. Their head's just poking out above the bow deck here. So they are mic'd up. Some of them have GoPros on their heads to, I don't know, capture the thrill of this race here. But it looks
Put
like
it on YouTube. Do it for the gram, right?
Royal America Rye.
We're out here generating content.
Fayetteville and Manlius currently are two front runners in first and second place, depending on whose blades are in the water. Maybe a seat advantage to Royal America Rye A.
And this is a great race going on right here. So we've got Royal America Rye, one of the larger clubs in the Northeast, down in Westchester County, perennial youth nationals contenders. And these could be 4 guys from their top varsity 8.
Right.
These guys might not be in one of the varsity 8s, and this is the boat they're trying to qualify for youth nationals.
We don't know your story.
Nope, not at all. I'll have to ask Alex back.
But they're making a move.
They're making a move against Fayetteville Manlius. This is a high school team. These guys all go to the same school together, and for the Scholastic Club battle that happens and plays out at the state championship. Right now we got a pretty good one going on there.
And it's kind of a situation of choose your battle here, and it looks like Royal America Rye is charging out in front. They've now lengthened their lead to 4 seats up on Fayetteville Manlius, who is sitting 4 seats up on Oyster Bay. And then it becomes a little bit more interesting as you have the charging St. Joseph's trying to eat into Oyster Bay's lead here. We've only got 250 meters left as we come into the red buoys. We're running out of time to make our move. We don't want to wait until the last 10 strokes to really surge. You want to take a risk.
This is going to be
surge early.
It's an exciting battle outside for Royal America Rye. They're going to go in first here. They're going to secure the nationals placement.
Knock on wood.
But everybody else is a Scholastic team that's gunning for the 3 spots for Scholastic Nationals and throw a blanket over the field there. It looks like we're going to see Royal America Rye crossing first here.
Fayetteville Manlius looking for the finish line.
Yeah, see, you're looking to the end here. Looks like it's going to be FM, St. Joe's, a little bit
or
over
Oyster Bay.
Oyster.
Yeah. Great racing there, even
though
not for
ball race at the end there.
Bow number 1, City Honors High School. Really strong finish there. So here comes
St. Anthony's.
And lane 0, St. John the Baptist.
And St. John the Baptist. We had a little central western New York battle there. We had a Long Island High School battle. And then we had Royal America Rye out there in front. You guys all know each other? You go to school together? What a great race, though, for the boys varsity 4.
So we had a pretty ripping tail this morning. If you are here at Fish Creek, over by the Jumbotron, where we have the live stream broadcasting for everyone here on site. You'll notice the conditions have changed quite a bit. We had the ripping tail this morning, and now we've got a puff of a headwind, a head cross. So the conditions very different. It'll actually really impact the boat speed, the rhythm, and kind of just the overall feel for these athletes as they navigate this 1,500-meter race course.
Yeah, I think I just heard the boys 4, I believe, just called in 5:08. It was either 5:008 or 5:08. So that 5 minute range for the varsity 4s is in the ballpark. It's not lightning quick, but it's not quite too slow either. But as the wind continues to change around, like Hannah said, we might start to see the times slow a little bit.
Up next, we should have the boys junior U17 Cox Quad final, scheduled to start in 2 minutes.
Oh, excellent! So we're getting that back on track here.
Hard to tell from our vantage point down here. We'll talk to our people, see what information we can find out.
Yep, that was 5:08 for that last race there. Romer Karai winning in 5:08.006.
Good. So this is the boys junior U17 Cox 4 lining up, we believe. Each athlete has one oar. It's a bit longer than the sculling oars.
Okay, so we're in the U17 junior for petite
final. Yep.
Got it. So if that's our race here, which it looks to be, we're going to be going from right to left. In lane 0 is going to be Rhinebeck High School. Lane 1, Cascadilla Boat Club out of Ithaca. Cold Spring Harbor in 2, Canisius High School B in 3, Manhattan High School A in 4, City Honors High in 5, Row America Rye 6, the Nichols School in 7, and Bayshore High School out there in lane 8. That's going to be all the way to your left when we get the full footage there.
And these finals were seeded from this morning's racing, so we were just talking about the conditions changing, and we'll be able to see kind of interesting, not only the fitness component of racing here, racing twice in one day, but also racing under different conditions. So seeing some crews find that they are more competitive or hitting closer to goal speeds in tail condition speeds versus headwind speeds. So we'll be able to see kind of if these crews can do it all. Can you be the best in any condition no matter what's thrown at you? Here's a great view of the start.
That's one of the things we talk about with our athletes all the time is I sit there and I kind of go through every circumstance, and we want to have a these are our conditions mentality. And inevitably one of them will say, so are all conditions our conditions? And I said, that's
yes,
the spirit.
That's
what we're
goal.
going for.
So unfolding here is the start 250 of the boys junior U17 Cox 4 Petite Final. The name of the game here is to get the boat from a standstill to peak speed as quickly as possible, and then kind of use a different energy system in the start than you will for the body of the race. So trying to make sure it's explosive, it's gutsy, and then shortly after, maybe 10, 15, even 20 strokes after your starting sequence, you're going to start to shift to something closer to a base cadence. So as we watch here, that start looked pretty fast and furious from all crews.
The Nichols School said, we're
bye.
getting out there.
We're going to rise above the fray. Again, these are the coxed 4s. Can be pretty loud, actually. 9 boats across. Each coxswain has a microphone that's wired throughout the boat, and so it can be kind of like a surround sound feeling, especially in those middle lanes where you have boats on either side of you. So there's actually a lot of psychological incentive to get up ahead, as well as the competitive spirit there. But watch out here. We've got Nichols and City Honors here currently vying for the top 2, but then 4 more lanes over in lane 2, Cold Spring Harbor is making a charge as well here for the early leader position.
Got exactly like you said, Nichols, City Honors, sandwiched. Row America Rise right in the middle of that action.
We've seen Row America Rise have some pretty impressive second half pacing throughout the program, and so we'll be able to see if Row America Rise can hang tough. They're clearly doing a lot of psychological and fitness training here to be able to do that. It's easier said than done to have a strong second half. So Row America Rise, we'll keep our eyes on you as this race unfolds.
It shows who puts in the time. You're not going to be able to fake that second half. That doesn't just happen. That's practice day in and day out. We didn't wake up on Thursday and said, you know what, we're going to do it here.
But it looks like City Honors here making a charge through the second 500, making a claim on that first place position. Nichols trying to hold on. Again, the coxswain is down in the bow deck of the boat. So you can see that head of the coxswain there peeking out for Nichols. They're looking over the side, trying to make sure their neck's nice and loose before the race because they've got a lot of turning to do to give their rowers the feedback on where they are in this field.
They've got some nice padding back there. I've had some coxswains that are
so
small
hopefully.
They might put a beach ball in there because otherwise they slide all the way into the boat.
Right.
They fit too well.
Right. And ideally, the whole reason the coxswain is giving that feedback is so that these athletes can stay internally focused on their rhythm, matching. If the athletes are matching, you'll find the boat speed just is that much easier to maintain. And again, that early lead here from Nichols, challenged by Row America Rye and City Honors as they charge ahead. Row America Rye now sitting in just about a first place position. City Honors not letting them go too easily. That coxswain playing a pivotal role here in motivating their athletes to hang tough, especially in the 1500. It can feel like fast and furious in a way that's unsustainable, and so that coxswain is so crucial in convincing the athletes to keep sprinting throughout the entire race. Trailing crews here, again, this is, I believe we had a 9-boat race, but maybe Rhinebeck a little bit off the pace here, as Bayshore is there on the right side of your screen, and we have a battle between not only Nichols, Row America Rye, and City Honors for the first, second, and third, but Manhasset High School, Canisius, Cold Spring Harbor, and Cascadilla are also in a really tight pack. Here's our front runners on your screen. Nichols, Row America Rye, and City Honors from right to left.
And it looks like Row America Rye has been able to push out. They were having the two crews there in Nichols and City Island, or City Honors rather, pace them a little bit. And like you said, though, right on schedule. That second half from Row America Rye is starting to push out here. Discipline, fitness, toughness,
and momentum as well. We have Row America Rye seeming to just run away with this here as they feel good. It feels good to move on other crews, and it can make the pain of the race seem a little bit less noticeable, a little bit less convincing. And here we have kind of battling of what do you do when someone else makes a move on you? Do you break and fracture, or do you hang tough and just adapt to the situation around you? Both Nichols and City Honors here seeming to hang pretty tough. They're going bow ball to bow ball here for that second place finish in this petite final. It seems pretty intense and high stakes, so I almost thought it was the grand final here.
It's racing for places 10th through 18th, but don't tell the athletes that, right? This is what we've worked up towards, and we're going to try to place as high as we can at the state championship.
Here comes Row America Rye across the line for first place finish, and I'm not sure we're going to be able to call here from the finish line.
I'm going to call Nichols on it, but by 2 feet at most.
Check those times on streamlinerowing.com. Here comes this battle of the second clump. 3 over 2. And 2 and 8 might have been a photo finish there. So Bayshore and Cold Spring Harbor with a near photo finish. Kudos to those athletes and those coxswains staying in it. There's Cascadilla.
That was Canisius B that snuck in there as well. I think they were part of the photo finish there.
And there's lane 0.
We've got Rhinebeck here with the purple and gold.
Rhinebeck and Augustin Classical Academy vying with each other for the style points. It's an official position, I swear. You got the purple and gold versus the purple and green. We are taking votes down here at the finish line. If you have a strong opinion, you let us know. Or DM us on Instagram, Saratoga Rowing. But there's the boys varsity 4, so that's not the race we just watched. It was a race earlier. But as we said, got some pretty solid times here for this boys varsity 4 event. 5:08 was the winning time. We have some interesting conditions, definitely not the ripping tail we had this morning. And that nice photo finish between 5th and 6th place was also exciting to watch. It's kind of a stubborn mentality I love to watch in racing. It's like, no, you break, not me.
It's not going to be me. No, there's no doubt about that. And that's you don't have to overextend yourself, but you also don't let up for a stroke, right? It's not a hard punch necessarily, but the pressure's not going away. They're sitting there, they're taking their 10s, their coxswains calling the moves, and you're sitting there.
It's like holding your hand close to the fire.
That's it.
Which one of you is going to pull away
Who's
first?
Going to pull away first? And you know, there's a point in time where they're going to sit there and go, this guy's not going away, right? She's not going to relent. I don't know if I want to be a part of this anymore, right? And that's easier said than done, but when you can get up in front, you've got that position to control a little bit more.
And we've got the start of the boys junior U17 grand final for the Cox 4 boat class here. Another 9-boat race. Canisius High School will be over here on the left side of your screen. Oyster Bay, St. Joseph's, BSRA or Buffalo, Scholastic, FDR is going to be next for FD Roosevelt. Shen next, Brighton after them, Manhasset B, and then St. Joseph's B, all the way over there on the park side or the Lees Park side. We've got the first 250 well underway here, so these athletes will start shifting to their base cadence. If you're coming looking for the U16 quad event, which we were on the hunt for earlier, it's been rescheduled to 1:47 p.m. So come back in about 20 minutes or so for that U16 event, and we'll give you that race as it unfolds. But here we are, boys U17 Cox 4 final. Again, if you're just joining us, welcome to the New York State Championship. We're here with Hannah and Andy at the finish line.
We've got Canisius High School out here in front, the boys junior U17 4 final here, looking strong. These athletes are doing a nice job here. It's an all-boys school out of the Buffalo region. They row in a gorgeous boathouse. They renovated the Frank Lloyd Wright boathouse a number of years ago, and if you're a fan of architecture, you recognize that name. But Canisius, always a strong boys program here in New York, and right now in the boys junior 4, they're out there in front. And
Andy, I challenge you to call this pack here. Just kidding, it's changing every stroke. We have maybe a slight advantage to lanes 6 and 7, but 1, 2, and 4 of Manhasset, Brighton, and FDR challenging with tons of overlap here. Again, in the sport of rowing, it can be quite a challenge to be even 3 seats down, even though it's not the hugest margin. Because we face backwards, we really come to rely and relish in the benefit of having a coxswain to kind of give you the lay of the land, where you are in the field, and what you need to do to get to where you want to go.
The coxswain is great. They do so much for the job, and you know it. Unless you've been in exceptional straight 4, right, a 4 without the Cox 4 here, you want to have them pulling you down the course there. Nice shot here in lane 7. That's Oyster Bay in a solid second place position here. They're starting to try to push out on the rest of that pack. You know, we called it early, is a lot of overlap, and right now we're starting to see in that middle 500 here who's actually got it, right? Who had a good start and who's going to really kind of set the pace for the second half of the race here.
Yeah, we're in that middle 500 here, so this is when the pain of your start might start to feel a little bit more potent. Again, this is the 1500 at States, and so the race might actually go by a little bit faster than you're prepared for. So these crews trying to make their moves early and not find themselves with too much of a margin to make up in the last 500. You can see quite a move here coming from Manhasset. Again, they were in that pack early on, and they are several lanes over, so that coxswain really having to look out, the athletes having to trust the coxswain to give them that feedback of we're moving, we just took a seat, we're holding. Those kinds of relational cues are crucial for a coxswain to relay to their athletes, to kind of give them that external motivation when the internal focuses might not be enough.
And this lane 1 crew, Manhasset, that you just highlighted there, they are listed as the B entry.
It's true.
The A entry was in the petite final, so, you know, in
they handled those conditions this morning.
In terms of the boathouse rivalry of I'm the top boat, you're the top boat, they've already won that battle in the Manhasset boathouse there, but they're looking to sit here and take a few more places out there on the rest of the field there.
And here comes Canisius and Oyster Bay, your 2 early leaders, maintaining and even building their leads here in the last 500. We see the crews entering the last 250. These red buoys here signify to the athletes, to us watching at home, and here at the finish line that the end is in sight, and it's about to get spicy here as the athletes try to empty the tank, something that's hard to do in terms of knowing yourself and your pacing and your limits. Often coxswains are calling for their athletes to black out or red line, to push so hard that they can't even believe that they're doing it. I can hear the coxswains here from shore.
Canisius continuing to open it up. Their drone is zooming into them now as they cross the finish line. They're coming up, but they got about 2 strokes to go here. Nice, strong performance here from Canisius High School. comfortable length or two open water in first. There's the celebration.
Currently sitting in third, you have Oyster Bay coming in second, but then St. Joseph's will take that third place. They've lengthened their lead to about a foot, maybe a full seat or two of open water on the trailing BSRA from Buffalo.
Tight race, FDR, a hair over Shenendehowa.
And there's bow number 2 from Brighton. Then Manhasset, unable to follow that sprint. They had a really nice charge there in the middle.
And St. Joe's Collegiate.
Awesome
St. Joe's
racing.
Collegiate B, not to be confused with St. Joe's Collegiate A, who placed third. That race, I believe, went in order.
It did.
Lane 8, which
but
doesn't always happen.
It didn't play out in order,
It
though.
didn't play out in order.
They got to the finish line that way, but
they got there one way or another.
here's the result from the previous race, so not the race we just watched, but the boys junior U17 Cox 4. Again, we had quite the finish there. You see those 4th, 5th, and 6th place finish, 58.6, 59.3, and 59.5. So awesome racing there at the back of the pack. And then second and third only separated by about 0.6 of a second, almost half a second separating those two crews. And that kind of teaches you not only about how you are as a racer, what do you do when things are hard, what do you do when some competitor is not letting up against you, but also motivation for the upcoming years ahead. So knowing that every moment of training, every practice you attend, and every practice that you have to miss for some reason, it all adds up here to the championship stage of your season. And so those moments can either kind of bolster you or haunt you depending on the result, and serve as actually really excellent motivation for your years of training ahead.
You try to tell the kids as a coach, you say, listen, we need
like
to be
believe
here
it.
for this. You got to believe
right.
it. You're gonna
but
the season's gonna end, and you're gonna look back and say, I wish I should
right.
have.
No regrets here, folks.
Let's show up to the line right now and start knowing I'm as fast as I could possibly be. That's always the goal. So in this junior U17-8, this is a mix. Again, we were talking about some of these athletes might be competing for a chance to go to the Youth Nationals in the U17 category. Some might be trying to go in the junior or JV category to Scholastic Nationals. Everybody that's a U17 is going to be junior eligible. I mean, I guess if you were a senior in high school and you were 15 years old, but that's few and far between here. So we've got from left to right in right to left. In lane 0 is Oyster Bay Community Rowing. Lane 1, Saratoga Rowing Association, your home course team. In lane 2 is Pittsford out of Rochester. Lane 3, Burnt Hills Rowing Association, Burnt Hills Ballston Lake High School. Lane 4, Chaminade High School down in Long Island. 5, Manhasset High School, also Long Island. Canisius High School is in 6 out of Buffalo. And then we've got Row America Rye B and Row America Rye A in 7 and 8. So the top 2 boats out of the time trial are boats that row together in practice every day, probably. Row America Rye A and Row America Rye B. This is a club team. Their goal is going to be Youth Nationals. They're looking very strong there from Row America Rye.
Good, and we talk a lot about the 8s as a really kind of fun boat class of momentum here. And so you have a really tight pack between Row America Rye B all the way over with contact on the rest of this field here. And so these coxswains are trying to jockey their position here. We have Row America Rye B. It looks like Canisius High School and Manhasset there. And even Chaminade in that mix here for second place. It's really anyone's game. And so those coxswains are trying to call for inches. They're trying to call for just that little bit of momentum shift in their favor. And when they get it, it's immediately relayed to those athletes like, oh, here's the goal, and you did it. Now we're going to do it again. Now we're going to build on that momentum, and it's all up to really the coxswain and the athletes to buy into that momentum shift. Sometimes I've had coxswains say, we took a seat, and we did not. But hearing the feedback as an athlete that you took a seat, that you're in the favored momentum, can make the rest of the piece feel easier. And so this Row America Rye A boat
the coxswains love that. It's a white lie. It's an embellishment, maybe a little
but
bit.
It makes the boat go faster, so it's like a placebo effect. And
really
watch out for a charge here from Canisius High School in lane 6.
Yeah, they're pushing in here. This is a really great battle here with this pack. We've got Rye A out in front. We've got a really good four-way race here between Rye B, Canisius High School, Manhasset, and Chaminade. And then just off this pack we saw is Burnt Hills dueling with Pittsford. As you see the lead pack here.
We're already at the last 500, Andy. Here we go. It's
the
time.
eights go fast. These are going to be sub 5 minute, no problem.
And if you think about how long you can sustain a sprint pacing, in the 8 you actually might start sprinting much earlier than you would in the boat classes that we saw earlier with the small boats of the single and the pair. So these athletes might actually start to make their first steps. And every program is different. Every coxswain and crew feeling different strategies working in their favor. So you play to your strengths. Some athletes, you can see, holy smokes, who is this? Manhasset just took up, I think, about 6 beats in one stroke.
They go, that's it.
Other
the
athletes
let's hit the switch.
Other athletes like to do a slower build, up a few beats every 7, 10 strokes. Other athletes think about technical cues like stronger legs, sitting up taller at the finish, bringing the handles quicker around your torso. And so each program rehearsing those moves and doing what's called lifts or sprint moves here in the last 250. But it's Rome America Rye A's day, followed by Rome America Rye B and Canisius, who are just about a seat separated. It'll be interesting to see here who has the better last push. And it seems that that move from Manhasset was enough. They were trailing just moments ago, and now they're sitting in quite the cheeky 4th place here, besting Chaminade, who had a really strong second 500.
Got Rye A coming through here in first. It's going to be Rye B by about 2 or 3 seats over Canisius, who's got about 6 seats over Manhasset, who's about half a boat length over Chaminade. A little over a boat length open water back to Burnt Hills here.
And here comes Pittsford in their last 5. Oftentimes you'll have crews fighting not only for the ranked position, but also margins here. So if you were 20 seconds off Rye 2 weeks ago, can we be 15 seconds off Rye 2 weeks later, right? So these coxswains pushing on their athletes, their Saratoga. And here comes Oyster Bay. A really exciting boys junior U17 8 grand final.
That was excellent. That was a great race coming down. I want to give a shout out to the 5 seat in the Burnt Hills boat, Bo Lashkov. Bo joined us this year. He's a refugee from Ukraine. He's a 17-year-old, and he was at the Burnt Hills prom last night getting the full American experience.
And here we are.
And now we're out here at States. We're doing the thing.
Hope you got off your feet so often.
Heard he was a dancing machine, but we're happy for him. Had a great time.
We got youthful energy.
That's
Bounce back quickly. Really nice racing again from the boys junior U17 8s. Here are the results from the race before the boys junior U17 Cox 4 grand final. Again, we've had tons of photo finishes here at the New York State Championship 2023. Hats off to all programs from the staff coaching and the coxswains and athletes coming out here and executing. I'm joined back by the lovely Caitlin Kynast.
Hello.
2 Orion athletes here at the finish line. Watching the Saratoga boys athletes launch, we've got the, I can't remember, it's a middle school quad. I don't know which middle school quad it is, what event they're in, but we'll check. U16, you think?
Oh, the one you're watching launch?
Yeah, we're just here at the finish line, giving the lay of the land.
Okay.
Some strong-looking boys in there, though. They might be U19s.
Ian Dodds, Parker Mansfield, Jacob Dorflinger, and Sam. Oh, Sam, your last name is escaping me.
Oh, it's all right. I don't know them.
Court. It's Court. It's good. I got it.
I know. It's making me want to race, though. Beautiful water. And seeing some crews go fast with some amazing
looks like
racing.
we got the
It makes
first
me wanna get out
varsity
there.
for the boys launching as well. Got Mike McMinn giving a pep talk. Tessa Yurko overseeing that everyone's squared away with their equipment. Outfits are all good. Oakleys are on. Some are more a fan of the Pit Viper. We had a huge Pit Viper phase here in Saratoga.
Nice new demo boat.
New demo here from King. We've got some boat vendors in addition to all those vendors over there next to the trailers.
Who's here? Vespoli, I saw them.
Vespoli might be here. I know King and Wintec are here. They got a little coupled. situation going. And we've got quite a few vendors as well as we wait for the next race is the boys freshman Coxed 4. They should be getting underway momentarily, but to shout out.
Oh, are they? They're off.
Oh my gosh, they were all so punctual. They got to go early.
Yes, and we're looking at just the high lanes.
So only 5 boats in this race. Only 5.
Only.
Just Saratoga things. Or excuse me, only 6.
6 boats.
Thank you.
So we've got City Honors, Fordham Prep A, Pittsford Crew, Manhattan High A, Friends of Port Rowing A, and Spack and Kill Rowing A. No teammates in this race, but oh, it looks like
maybe a false start or some
we
broken
are
equipment.
potentially going to restart.
What I would give for a walkie-talkie between us and the officials right now.
I know.
What's going
Get all
on
the
up
gossip.
there?
Tell me.
The best gossip you'll get at a regatta coming from the
I'm
officials.
still waiting to know what happened to that U16 Cox squad.
I know. Well, we do know that they're starting. They're going to squeeze themselves in here
Okay.
right after. Well, now I don't
So we
know
should see
because
them
this
soon.
false start might change things up. But they're scheduled to go 147, that U16 quad. And we're having an issue here with the boys freshman Coxed 4.
Which could be what?
So there's a number of things. We could have had a true false start where a crew started their first strokes before the
eager.
official let the flag fall. There's a red flag up there, and the second it moves, the crews are allowed to start. You might actually go before you hear the word go, because light travels faster than sound, fun fact. And if not a false start, we could have had some breakage or misadventure. I think sometimes, especially when you're traveling to a state championship or any kind of away race, it's hard to rig all of those boats. These teams are huge and they have a fleet of boats here that they're in charge of rigging. Sometimes the athletes themselves are tasked with rigging these boats, and especially here at the boys freshman 4 level, if you hand a freshman a wrench and some tool and some hardware and say have at it, it might not go as smoothly.
It might
It's just a matter of experience.
There's distractions happening too, right?
You're goofing around with your friends. There's nervous energy. It's a lot to navigate here. So,
Looks like they're pulling them off the course.
and maybe we'll get the U16 quad underway while we get that restarted. Because they did make it a few strokes. They made it almost to the 250, it looks like. So it'll take them a few moments. It takes almost a full minute to do it.
Yeah, to get back. So it looks like we are probably going to be loading in that next race. Here we have the boys junior U17 8 final results.
Really speedy racing here.
From Row America Rye. I know we talked about them before as just having extreme depth on
They
both
do.
sides.
I hear they get 70, 80 novice
That's
tryouts.
amazing. That is
And they have to
amazing.
cut down to like 50.
Wow.
50 novices in 1 year. That's
We
crazy.
didn't even have that many
in a college team.
on a college
right?
team, on my high school team. Oh,
My high school
totally.
team when I was a freshman was 8 people.
Oh,
Oh, we had
that's
2
tiny.
4s. We had 2 4s, and if anyone was sick, we only had 1 4.
yeah.
So really cool to see programs from all different sizes, different areas of the state of New York coming together and throwing your background and your like situation to the wind and just coming out here to race, right? Like it doesn't matter where you come from, it doesn't matter how many novices you had. It's just gonna be about your skills that you've developed over the season, maybe even your whole career so far, the fitness you've gained, and like the willpower, right? Like how bad do you want it?
Totally.
Sometimes
and I
it
think
can
having that
come down to
depth
that.
gets you, does get, you start to push from the bottom up, right?
True.
The slowest people start getting a little bit faster. Those
Right,
top people,
especially if you
to
like
stay
being in
ahead.
the first varsity eight,
Exactly.
and you have like 12
that
people
2V that's
that
pushing.
aren't in the first
That
varsity eight that
Romare
really
Karai.
want to be there.
Yep, that Row America IB pushing, only a few seconds off of their A boat to place second there in that U17 8. The competition daily at practice. You got to show up prepared every single day. So
It's true. You got a target on your back sometimes these guys.
all the time.
So let's see what we can see. What's going on?
I don't. It.
They might be restarting the
That-
boys freshman Coxed 4 grand final. We'll see if I have some friends up there at the
My contacts. Yes.
I have the
yes.
insight. I have spies.
Inside scoop. Exactly. So we do have a variety of vendors here. If you're hanging around, waiting like we are to see what's about to happen.
Like, you know what I want? A snack.
Ah,
Or a cute new
snap.
outfit.
Cute new outfit.
got-
You're gonna head over to that U.S. rowing tent.
Yep.
We got a large tent, a lot of selection.
Tons of U.S. rowing gear. We've got N&D is a local gear vendor for your New York State's 2023 gear.
Mhm.
They've also got like crew socks, crew mom, you know,
Keychains.
keychains. There's jewelry here from Rubini Jewelry.
Some,
Wild
probably
Bills
some
is
license plate covers.
doing refills all day. If you buy the $20 cup,
I know.
And it's
I
a nice
want
cup.
So bad.
you can have like a little Moscow Mule in there if you give it to your mom for Mother's
Right.
Day tomorrow.
Ooh, Mother's Day.
I'm just
Happy
giving you
Mother's
ideas.
Day to all of our mothers
Wild
who
Bills
are listening or here.
soda.
We appreciate you and thank you to all of our parents for all that you do. All the driving to practice, waiting at practice, picking up from practice, the food when you get home, and just dealing with the temperament that comes along with rowing. Those tired kids when they come home. So thank you to all of our parents, of all
Especially the
athletes.
volunteers here. A lot of the parents at Saratoga are here today working the New York State Championship, whether it be driving launches, working the parking. Again, thank you all for complying with our parking volunteers. They are not paid to be there.
They are
They
not.
did not come up with the rules.
Right.
They are doing the job. Here we have the start underway. 5 boats across. So
It
I'm
is
not
a quad.
sure. I think this is not the boys freshman 4. So we'll.
Ooh, is it?
It looks
Is
like
it
the
that
U16
U16
quad.
Coxed quad?
Oh, it's happening. They're
I'm
underway.
glad it happened.
We'll scroll back up and find that in
All right, so
Streamline.
this race was supposed to happen at 12:55.
So I hope you
5
stayed
boat
with
race.
us
Yes.
for the hour
Please.
that's passed. But Port Jefferson is over in lane 9. Closest to us here in the media launch, Row America Rye in lane 8, Manhasset High School in lane 6, 8, 7, 6. Saratoga Rowing in 5, and then Canisius in 4. So here we have quite the battle going on.
It looks like Port and Row America Rye right now out in front from the angle that we have. Yep, that's right. Okay, so Row America Rye.
What
but
rate
a
do you
deck
think
ahead.
they're at? Should I
It
bring?
looks
I have an
high.
app for this.
It looks very high.
Really cool to see these. We've never really had a U16 event here, so all of these athletes are 15 years old or younger in the year 2023. This is, I believe, a U.S. Rowing Youth Nationals category. We're trying to change the way the U.S. does things. We're trying to bolster United States sculling development, so starting these kids young, instead of throwing them into a novice 8 from the first time you row, throwing into a U16 quad and seeing what kind of speed we can
Is
get.
that Saratoga A that kind of just pulled ahead from Manhasset?
Looks like we're orienting. I think it's Canisius and Manhasset there
Is it?
duking
Yep.
it out with Saratoga just trailing about half a length back on the pack. Again, this is a 1,500 meter race, and especially for the U16 event, we got maybe not as much experience here in racing shells, and so trying to make sure that we all keep our heads screwed on straight, try not to get discouraged here as things play out. But what a mature battle going on
Yes.
between Port Jefferson and Row America Rye.
Great. I mean, they honestly are trading spots every stroke.
You want to talk about lead changes in March Madness? I'm looking at it right here
Oh,
at the
yeah.
Saratoga Springs
Row America
New York
Rye was
State
holding them off,
Championship.
and now it looks like Port Jefferson has walked
What a
slightly
move.
to about a half.
3C
deck.
move in 10 strokes.
Yeah.
Whatever that cue was, just keep
Row
saying
America Rye
that,
had
Coxon.
a great start, but Port Jefferson is showing their speed, their base speed.
This overhead shot also gives us a huge vantage point that you don't usually get from, especially not the finish line, but really able to see how well these crews are matching and kind of the technical side of moving boats here.
Looks like we have Canisius and Manhasset fighting for 3rd and 4th, and Saratoga a bit further back now.
And really playing out here, everyone here is 15 years or younger. But as we know, all people grow at different speeds. I've seen some 15-year-olds that look like 19-year-olds. I've seen some 15-year-olds that look closer to 13. So, you know, everyone's growing at different stages. And so you can kind of look across, especially in these middle and high school stage races, and you're wondering, how are you in this race with me? But here we have
last 500 meters.
Port Jefferson extending their lead here. That coxswain calling on their athletes to get open water here. The cox quad, oftentimes the coxswain's down in the bow deck of the boat, kind of tucked in there. And so they can't actually see how far ahead they are when they're ahead. So that Port Jefferson coxswain unable to turn around and look without disrupting the boat. And so the athletes using their own visual cues here.
Yep, so that's Port Jefferson A coming out in first with a little bit of open water against Romerica Rye A. And then a few lanes over, we have Canisius High fighting for third with potential contact on Romerica Rye. I know there's a few lanes over.
What the heck? That coxswain is going for blood.
Right now in fourth, and Saratoga. Oh, Manhasset just caught what we call a crab. That's when you
get stuck.
Lose control of one of your oar handles, and it goes with the speed of the boat, so it kind of flies a bit over your head. They've regained their pace and still in fourth place, and then Saratoga Rowing would be back in fifth. Port Jefferson definitely extending their lead.
Really strong effort here. You can see the athletes cutting some of that layback here, cutting some of the arm draw to keep it down in the legs, the money makers of the body. Really nice performance on glassy conditions from Port Jefferson.
A great stride from them. They were down about a length off of Romerica Rye off the start, and then walked back to about 2 lengths of open water. There comes across Romerica Rye, and then it looks like Canisius in third. Manhasset has about 4 strokes to the line here.
Kudos to those guys hanging tough, even though they had quite a disruptive digger there in the last 500. They said, I'm not giving up just yet. Here comes Saratoga Rowing.
Now in view, Saratoga Rowing.
Here comes Finn. Andre, I'm trying to pick them out. Oh, they're moving so well. In Skinner, no less.
And that concludes our boys U16 coxed quad that was supposed to go off at 12:55.
Apologies for the confusion on that. We're working to make sure everybody gets their race here, despite maybe a false start, broken equipment.
Yep.
Whatever chaos is ensuing. Here we are already in the midst of another race here. It looks like a coxed 4. It must be the freshman.
Okay, so we're back on track where I think we're getting everybody in. So if you remember, right before this past race, the U16 coxed quad.
We saw them start.
We saw them start. Something happened. We'll get the tea for you guys. But then they took them off the course, and they've restarted. So we have out in lane 0, Fairport Crew Club A, Friends of Port Rowing B in lane 1. Chaminade High A in lane 2, Pittsford Crew in lane 3, Pittsford Crew B in lane 3, Pittsford Crew A in lane 4, Friends of Port Rowing in lane 5, Pelham Community Rowing in lane 6, Saratoga Rowing in A in lane 7, and Romerica Rye in lane 8.
We read
I am so sorry. That was the 2v8. My bad. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We're a little behind schedule.
Let's go again.
So
yes, exactly. So we'll go from lane 8. So that's going to be
City Honors
High, who is leading in lane 8. Fordham Prep A in lane 7. Pittsford Crew A in lane 6. Manhasset High in lane 5. Friends of Port Rowing A in lane
8, 7, 6, 5,
4. And Spacken Hill in lane 3.
Streamline is a wonderful platform, but it does not have frozen row capabilities like a Google Sheet would. So our
My
lanes
apologies
are hidden
about
from
that.
view.
Exactly. So.
And I have the T, Caitlin, on what happened in this race.
Oh, please tell me.
Apparently.
As City Honors has pulled out with a substantial lead.
They're showing off a bit.
They are.
I'm excited about it. I'm here for it.
Hey, they got their first run down. The nerves are calm after you have your first start. A little bit of commotion here down at the finish.
We've got some crews warming up that are trying to get out of the way as we are entering the last 250 here. So those boats crossing into the warm-up lane are in danger.
Yes,
City Honors is coming on a rage row. But what happened earlier is there was collision in the breakage zone.
Was there?
So the first 100 meters of the race, there was collision. And thus it impeded their race, and so they had to restart.
That's scary.
It's a little scary. I hope everyone was okay and not too rattled. Obviously, these boats are prized possessions. It's really expensive to get a rowing show, and so we want to take care of our equipment. We want to keep our athletes safe. So good that we could stop that race and restart it safely. But here comes City Honors here.
All the more reason to get out and ahead.
Get away from those other boats here. Really important that those athletes are all timing their blades together, especially at the start as you all are applying that explosive power together. You can see City Honors here continuing to do so all the way down the course. Again, it's gotten quite warm. It's in the mid-70s here in Saratoga Springs. So these athletes managing not only the effort, but also the heat.
City Honors out in lane 8 in their last 5 strokes of the piece.
They'll win the boys freshman Cox 4
lead. And they have come across the official winners of the freshman Cox 4.
Culmination of a long season of training, maybe even a long year, depending on the athlete. Here comes lane 7, Fordham Prep. Another substantial lead here. Those first 2 in the pack really separated themselves out. Impressive display of fitness and strength from both City Honors and now Fordham Prep. Well done, all athletes, coxswains,
like
doing your job.
Yep.
1500 is pretty long, especially for the freshmen. The middle schoolers do more 1Ks and 4-minute pieces, so it's a big step up to the 1500. These athletes taking that challenge in stride, trusting their coxswain to tell them how much longer they've got.
All right, it looks like
that's Friends of Port.
Looks like that was Manhasset High who came across in 3rd, and then Friends of Port who came across in 4th. Are we missing Pittsford Crew A?
I think this is Bow 6, so that might be Pittsford Crew there.
Yeah, ending, potentially beginning in a different lane.
Yes, they are not in the lane they should be. And that's actually a stern-loaded Cox 4 here. So a bit of an older shell. Coxswain able to actually see all 4 rowers in their blades, which actually is a huge advantage in terms of the kind of feedback and coaching the coxswain can give.
Yep, Pittsford Crew coming across the line now.
So maybe we're missing our spack and kill. Maybe they're, oh, I see them trailing here.
They are coming.
Again, this is the boys' freshman Cox 4 grand final here, coming to you live from Fish Creek. Oh, so I think this is Pittsford. If I know their unis, that's Pittsford.
Okay, so we had 2 boats with the same bow number.
An easy mistake. Easy mistake. It's a chaotic event here. It's been a long day. So Spack and Kill actually coming in 5th, and Pittsford will take that 6th place finish here. Staying together here. It's a hard enough task to coordinate your full body motion.
Oh, yeah.
How you want to, and then you got to do it with 3 other people.
Yep, definitely in the last 250 meters, about 20 strokes to the line.
And not only the body coordination, you got all these different energies in the boat. It's hard to really mesh everybody to get on the same page, the same mindset. Some people handle nerves in different ways, and so you kind of see it all playing out in these team boats here. in this afternoon stage of racing at New York State Championships?
All right, we're coming across the line. I'm gonna be honest. It's pretty slow. I wonder if something happened. There's no sprint. It doesn't look like we are.
There's been some drama.
Something has definitely very clearly happened. So if you know, please let us know.
So here's the results from the previous race. The boys U16 Coxed Quad Grand Final.
Yeah, and that Pittsford crew taking it in. So something has definitely clearly happened in that race.
We already got another race underway that started about a few minutes ago because they're already in the last 250 here.
Oh, wow.
Or they're coming to the last 500, I should say.
Yep.
By my eyes, we've got Romer Karai currently in your picture, Saratoga, Pelham, Port, Pittsford, Pittsford B, Chaminade, Port B, and Fairport. All in one race. All in this boys 2V grand final.
Oh my goodness.
Again, these races are seeded by the time trials of the morning. And so Romer Karai with open water, but Saratoga here with a nice advantage over, looks like Pelham next to them.
Yep. Pelham with contact.
Ooh, that's a lot of eights. It's a lot of energies. We were talking about kind of meshing everybody onto the same page at Coxon, trying to unify the boat. Romer Karai running away with it here. They've lengthened their lead out to about a length of open water almost over Saratoga, who has 4 seats of advantage over Pelham. And then it's a pretty tight battle here for third between
Friends of Port and
Pittsford A. Yeah, Pittsford B, not far off. It's really exciting for a second entry in a race to be that close to the first entry.
Yeah,
Saratoga lengthening out to even a full length lead. That Coxon sitting on the bow ball. Again, in the 8s, their boats are almost 60 feet long. It can feel like a Herculean effort to become a length up on another crew. It takes a good number of inches each stroke to kind of gain that advantage. And so it can feel like a huge momentum shift here for these athletes.
But they found their window. There's always a window. You know, when the other boat, everybody's going to get tired. Nobody's going to come across that race and be like, oh, that was a breeze.
Right.
So everyone's going to get tired.
Everyone has a moment of weakness.
When you can find that window and muster up the strength to power through for a few strokes and gain that momentum.
Romer Karai bringing the rate up here. So they, as we said, they have a length of advantage on the whole field, next followed by Saratoga. But they're still bringing the rate up. As we said, this is the state championship. Romer Karai 2V will be qualifying for the Youth National Championship.
Rowing
and
very
so
well.
They're using this opportunity to practice their sprint strokes. They're using it to learn about themselves as racers, learn what cues or calls the coxswain can say that brings about the desired result. And so you see Romer Karai here really sprinting as hard as they can.
And you know, this might be a, hey coach, look how much we won by. I want a seat race for that varsity 8. So
absolutely,
I'm sure most of these guys have gone in and out of that 1V, and they're here to prove something today. Romer
really
Karai has extreme depth, and look at that. They've pulled away
legs
to about
just going
3
straight down to the deck.
Open lengths.
Technically super strong here, even when you're fatigued and tired. Here comes Saratoga.
Beautiful.
They've lengthened out to a full 4 seats of open water over Pelham. A dominant performance for the Saratoga 2V.
Yeah, Romer Karai had crossed the line, and now it is Saratoga Rowing coming across the line, just finishing their race. Pelham Community crossing now for 3rd.
And Port able to extend their lead over Pittsford here. They were super tight before this last 500, but Port lengthening it out to Coxon on bow ball over Pittsford. Pittsford B unable to hold on as they had contact just 2 minutes ago. And watch out, Chaminade charging, taking that point away from them.
Yep, then it looks like it was Pittsford Crew. And then Friends of Port B.
Yep. And here comes Fairport Crew Club A coming across the line, their last 5 strokes. Well rowed all crews. Congratulations on a well-run season and on to the next. Youth Nats Scholastic Nationals, whatever your future holds, we're excited about it. Here are results from the previous race. Boys freshman Cox 4 grand final. City Honors took it in very decisive fashion, almost 30 seconds ahead of the next finisher. Had a little bit of chaos there as there was some collision in the first 100 meters of their race. That's the T.
So they restarted. And now we are moving into the boys of varsity 8 petite final. So petite meaning B final.
Doesn't mean little.
It does not mean small.
Maybe that's how the origin of the word, but
I wonder. So we have the petite final. So this is crews
10 through 18.
10 through 18. And then after this race, we will see those crews 1 through 9. So they are getting loaded into the stake boats right now.
So we said we have 9 boats across here. We have Fayetteville Manlius in 8, Row New York, in 7. Row New York actually, I think established, I'll look it up. They were established recently, did a lot of fundraising during the pandemic, and I think they're getting a new boathouse built as like a charitable donation as well. Their mission is to expand access in rowing. So oftentimes, especially in historical context, the sport of rowing has been largely inaccessible for most groups, and only those with enough financial resources have been able to participate. So Row New York doing a lot of considerable, intentional effort to bring more people in.
That's
pretty
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
So they're down
the
in
opportunity for everyone
the big
to row.
city, coming a long ways. And then Wappingers next in lane 6, Liverpool High School in lane 5, Cascadilla over from Ithaca in lane 4, Warwick Crew in lane 3, Suffern High School in lane 2, Clarkstown in lane 1, and Horace Mann in lane 0. Looks like those boats are getting into their stake boats. Again, the 8's a really hard boat to maneuver.
It is.
Like,
I've never done it.
What advice would you give?
I don't even know if I would
You
want
say,
to try.
hey, Coxon, here's a yacht. Basically, right? It's expensive.
Back it in.
It's big.
Not pull it in. Not go forward. She needs whoever it is.
Reverse parking.
Right.
Parallel parking.
Oh my gosh.
It's
yeah.
worse. I think this is worse.
With very little control.
Because you might say 2-seat row. And
Right.
2-seat might be too distracted.
Yeah.
They're nervous.
The
This is the state
nerves,
championship.
The butterflies. You kind of have to pee and vomit all at the same time.
I mean, that's the real story.
Yeah,
Don't be,
you're
don't
sweating.
be
It's
silly
80
about it.
degrees. Maybe the sunscreen kind of got in your eye, and the coxswain needs you to.
And you don't back into stuff very often.
No.
In rowing.
No, this is the one and only
Usually
time.
just move in one direction like a shark.
Yeah.
Sharks only move in one direction.
And it's hard. It's hard to practice because no one has stake boats.
Right.
And we're off.
So they did it. They all did it. Against the odds, we have the boys varsity 8 petite final underway.
This race was supposed to go off at 1:59. We had 2 races. I've kind of pushed the racing back for the afternoon, so expect a bit of delay for all coming races. But these boys varsity 8s are off.
What do you think about in these first 250, Caitlin?
Oh my God,
what's
laid
going
in
on?
and out, in and out, in and out. I'm somebody who likes to be 250 meters into the race.
Got it.
The worst part for me is the first 250, those high strokes, the nerves, and all the adrenaline
chaotic.
just rushes. Yeah, so you can't really feel your body, can't really hear the coxswain, and especially when you're all side by side.
There are 9 boats across here.
The yelling, it's so crazy. The oars making such a noise.
The oars make a noise. If you've never been in a boat before, never been close to the action, the oars make a noise, and magnify that times 9 again. Because we have 9 boats across, 8 athletes in each boat, each oar making its own noise, each coxswain mic'd up all the way down the boat. And so it's really...
Oh, and volume all the way up on those cox boxes. Yes.
They want to be heard.
Yes. We have some applause here on shore for the Saratoga
Seniors.
Seniors.
Yeah. Every time they come up, they do a little arch.
Great race. They end up getting second.
They did.
Yeah.
They had a great race. But here we are underway. Boys Varsity 8 Petite Final. We have current front runners in lanes 7 and 5. So Rowe New York and Liverpool High School.
Yeah, but lane 8 and lane 6 not far behind. Everybody with contact. Fayetteville is only about 4 seats down on Rowe New York, who has the lead right now on the field.
They've got matching glasses going on there, Rowe New York. I see you.
Hey, you gotta look
Very
good to feel good, right?
coordinated.
It looks like Rowe New York is moving away a bit on Fayetteville.
Yeah, that coxswain is now sitting on the bow deck of Fayetteville Manlius, undoubtedly looking over, telling their athletes that they want open water.
And
As
in
we
the
said,
background there, oh yeah, you want open water. It's never
'cause
enough.
when you have that peripheral vision
Yep.
of someone next to you, it can feel like they're in your space.
Tense, too tense.
They are too close to you.
Yep.
They're in your personal bubble,
Yep.
and you want some space. And the only way to get space, because you can't just move over a lane, right? We have to stay in our lane. And so the only way to get space is to get ahead.
It's to get up. So we are, the angle that we have right now,
It's a little
we're
hard to
looking
tell.
at potentially lane 3, 2, and 1.
Oh, we'll
So
pan
that would
back
be
up.
Warwick, Suffern, and Clarkstown.
And now we're panned back up to those early front runners. 4 boats across here vying for those medal positions. Again, some of these programs, high schools as we've seen, and others are club. And so some of these teams are gunning for the Scholastic Nationals bid. The first 3 high schools of each team. Again, this is the petite final, so maybe not in this one.
Right.
But trying to use this racing opportunity to put yourself in that position.
And
how
some
do
of
you
these
respond?
athletes get to row year round, and some, this is just their spring sport.
Right. Some of them have
So-
only been rowing for about a month or 2.
Exactly. Hard to tell exactly what's going on with the angle that we have right now, but it definitely looks like our Rowe New York crew, our Liverpool High, and our
Wappingers
Wappingers crew.
Manlius, and Castillo were those early front runners. So it looks like Rowe New York over here on the left in the lighter blue. And charging, we have, I believe that's Wappingers crew
That is
with the red
Wappingers.
and blue stripe.
And Liverpool High not far behind.
So Wappingers with an impressive move here. They were not in contention for that first or second place.
Right.
Rowe New
Last
York trying to
250.
hold them off. Again, this is the boys varsity 8 petite final. Here live from Fish Creek, we have Fayetteville Manlius, a little bit of a digger there. They've been unable to hold on
Ooh,
to
it
this
looks like
pack
it's a tight
here.
race coming in. Tight race for first place here between
That
Rowe
coxswain
New
is
York and
giving it
Wappingers.
anything. Check out Wappingers
Wow.
coxswain. He is screaming.
Beautiful.
We'll see who's got the last 10 strokes here that are better. Wappingers is on a charge. I think they're going to
Wappingers.
take it away
Yep.
from Rowe New York. Rowe New York holding on strong for second place. Holy smokes,
Wappingers in
Liverpool
first, Rowe New
High
York
for
in
third.
second.
And Fayetteville Manlius now holding off a charge from Cascadilla. They'll take that 4th place, Cascadilla 5th. And here we go back to our trailing pack who are
A race
also in
for
a battle.
6th.
See if we can get those bow numbers. Bow number 3 and 2. So Warwick and Suffern High School.
Oh, it is bow ball to bow ball.
Just
But
about a seat of advantage.
Warwick looks like they are up and have finished ahead of Suffern.
Nice racing. Here comes Horace Mann and Clarkstown to finish out this field. That's Clarkstown crew.
And Horace Mann coming in, their last 10 strokes.
Nice job. All crews racing here in the boys varsity 8 petite final.
And they have crossed, so that concludes this race.
And we're already underway because we're trying to get back on
We
schedule.
are already underway. So that was the 1:59 race, the boys varsity 8 petite final, or AKA the B final for the boys varsity 8. And now this was our 2:07 race. going off at 2:17, probably 2:16-ish. So the boys varsity 8 final A. So the A final.
Row-America Rye trying to show off here. Let me see if I can jog my memory. The 2v8, I believe, was won by Row-America Rye as well.
Yep.
So they're trying to have a little bit of a sweep here in the 8s. And it looks like it's within their reach here. There's Pelham, the blue hats. Pretty iconic look.
Lane 6 at Friends of Port.
A lot of bucket hats and backwards hats going
And
on.
Saratoga hanging on to
They're
Friends
pretty
of
much
Port.
level there. That's Pittsford closest to us. Then Chaminade next to them.
In their last 500 meters of the race today.
Conditions have dramatically improved. We were a little bit lonely in the time trials racing against the clock, but not side by side with anyone. So now we've got friends here in the boys varsity 8 final. Well, this is
no
for all the
longer
marbles
lonely.
here. We're going for top place finish for Youth Nats. Bids, we're going for Scholastic Nationals bids for any high school squads.
It looks like it is going to go to Row-America Rye. They are coming into their last 250 meters here.
Though Pelham and Port Saratoga and Port neck and neck here, fighting for third.
We've got a group of Saratoga athletes down, making
trying
some
to
commotion.
contribute.
Yes, at the end of the dock, wanting to be a part of the action.
Saratoga's on the charge here. They've got a seat of advantage now over Port. They're sitting in third, seemingly with a little bit more momentum here as they enter the last 10 strokes. Maybe 15 strokes. I don't want to be a cox and giving you the wrong count.
No, Row-America Rye taking it in stride. It's gonna be a stressful week. Few weeks of practice with some
Saratoga charging for second place on Pelham here. Who has the best 10 strokes of their lives? Pelham trying to hold them off. Saratoga still sitting about a seat or two up on Port.
Pelham coming across the line in second, and it looks like
Saratoga just over Port, and then here comes Pittsford and Chaminade just out of that medal contention mix. And then I think this is Fairport. So a little bit of an upset there from the seedings of the morning times.
Yep.
The times were close.
St. Joseph's coming across the line now. And St. Anthony's with their last 2 strokes. Fun racing. That's fun for us, right? And honestly, it is fun for them. It keeps everything extremely interesting. I'm sure all of Cruz would have rather had a bit more spacing, right?
Oh,
but,
yeah.
it is.
But it's exhilarating.
Yes,
to have
and
a tight
that is a race
like
they will remember for a long time.
And you got to give props to each other, right?
Yep.
You know it's hard to race that stubbornly, that like aggressively the whole way down the course.
Every time you're just waiting like,
right.
All right, they're going to have an off stroke. They're going to have an off stroke. But both crews
they brought their A game.
headstrong.
Yeah.
Yep. And they probably practiced that quite a few times against their 2Vs in practice. How to hang on.
We're going to keep trying to get you back on schedule, boys. Freshman novice quads are underway. 2:15 start time. Got 9 boats across. Niskayuna, Augustin Classical Academy, Albany, Port Jefferson, Burnt Hills, Shen, Niskayuna, West Side from Buffalo, New York, and Cold Spring Harbor. 9 boats across here for the freshman novice quad final. So same number of oars, but
same
half
number
the
of
people,
oars, exactly.
and no coxswain even.
Right.
So these athletes are tasked with a lot of self-driving. It's like distracted driving here. You've got to go as hard as you can. You've got to make sure you're going straight. Maybe you have a toe steering connected to the rudder. Maybe you don't, and you just have to call on more starboard pressure, more port pressure if you find yourself turning in your lane for whatever reason. You've got no coxswain convincing you to go hard.
Yep.
So it's really on the athletes to motivate themselves here and to unify around common goals, common technical cues.
You've got a bit of a fight for our favored freshman novice quads, Niskayuna and Augustine in lane 8 and 7.
ACA with the purple and green, taking cheeky looks over their shoulders here. Where's the competition? Where is the finish line? Play that back over and over again. And just trailing. Again, this is a 9-boat race. We have a little bit of separation here as the different squads pick their battles and kind of engage in the fight around them.
It is definitely Niskayuna and Augustine out ahead of the pack here. Hard to tell which one is up or if anybody's up at all. It looks fairly even to us right now.
ACA with a little bit more of the front heavy stroke, with Niski a little bit more back end acceleration here.
There it is, yep.
A little bit different rhythm going on. But really the key thing with rhythm is that everyone in the boat is doing it together. Coaches have different philosophies and will coach different rhythms, but comes down to what can the athletes unify around. In third place, you got Port Jefferson over there in lane 5. And then a tight battle for fourth here between, on either side of Port Jefferson, Albany and Burnt Hills.
All right, it looks like Niskayuna has taken out maybe a half a length over ACA. Niskayuna in lane 8, ACA in lane 7. Yep, and that is from the angle that we have. Obviously, video angles can definitely be different from what is actually happening, but it is becoming a bit more clear. Yep, Niskayuna pulling out ahead in this boys freshman novice
Getting
quad
pretty close to those
A.
buoys there, Niski. Move on over.
Yep, take your lead and run with it.
Don't let a pesky buoy slow you down.
We work hard to get those buoys in line.
True, true. And still a tight battle over there on the top right of your screen between Albany and Burnt Hills there. They're not racing necessarily for the outright medals, but this is just the grand final for the freshman novice quad event. And so there are bids on the line. We're trying to go to Scholastic Nationals across boat classes. We're trying to go to Youth Nats across different boat classes. And if not, moving on to more postseason racing, we're also just trying to become better racers. So awesome to see Burnt Hills and Albany pushing on each other, trying to force the other one to break, trying to force the other one to go faster. Oftentimes you find your best and fastest pieces are against competitors pushing you, challenging you.
Right now, it looks like Niskayuna coming across. We're in our last 250. Maybe they have 20 strokes to go. Niskayuna out in lane 8 in first place. ACA in lane 7 in second place contention. Looks like the Port Jefferson is leading that backpack to come in third.
A little bit of steering issue there,
but
from
a bit
Albany.
of a fight between Burnt Hills and Albany rowing for that fourth place.
Yeah, it looks like Burnt Hills just handling that last 500 a bit better. Last 250 here, almost finished with their race. And I don't know if Albany has enough room to come back from that steering bobble.
So Niskayuna did finish in first place. Augustine in lane 7, place 2.
Port Jefferson, really nice straight arm hang there,
Coming
even through
in
the last
third.
5 strokes. Woof.
Burnt Hills took it over Albany for place 4th and 5th.
Lane number
6th
3.
place will be
Shen. Our friends from Shen.
our friends from Shen.
Here comes Niskayuna B. Our neighbors in the capital region here at Saratoga. And then finishing up the field, if as ordered, we should have Westside and Cold Spring Harbor here. Again, conditions have shifted from this morning, so if you're looking for similar times, you will
Can't
not
compare.
find them here.
Cannot compare.
We had a ripping tail this morning against a head current, and so the water got super choppy, and so times were fast, but the rowers were traumatized. And now we've got a bit of a headwind, maybe even just a straight cross, and these athletes are just a little bit slowed down by those conditions. We've got the head current also working against them.
These athletes are fighting for it. Cold Spring Harbor coming across the line in their last 7 strokes.
No coxswain here. They did that all by themselves.
They did.
No one told them
Accomplishment
what
in
to do
itself.
other than themselves. Great racing from the Seahawk from Westside. Oh, sorry, that was from
we
Cold
have
Spring. This is
some
Westside here.
our 3-seat. So the
third seat from the right. Seems their oar is too far. Their handle's behind them.
yes, which is not ideal. They will not be able to row.
No, and it's really tricky to get it out of that position. You'd have to lay down.
And it looks like
all the way
that's- yeah.
down so that the oar can go over your torso.
Yes, that's impacting the 2-seat. So the person behind them, if they try
Unable to go up to the catch.
come up to the catch, they'll be impaled by that oar. Not ideal.
We're breaking it down
Yeah,
for you.
and so now we are rowing a quad with just 2 people. A bit of a bummer as their final race of the year. And they have crossed the line.
Just a little bit of crisis management going on here at the state championship. It can happen to anybody.
It does. I think my brother was racing overseas one time, caught 4 crabs
4.
in the last 250.
Oof.
Yep,
You hate to
had
see
a
it.
whole one oar twirled all the way around, a little 360. So it
Yikes.
happens no matter where you are. If you're here at Fish Creek, if you're rowing at the World Championships, it's happened to everybody.
Coming up, we have the boys U15 Coxed Quad
Coxed
Grand
Quad.
Final.
This
So
race was supposed to go off at 2:23.
only 5 minutes behind schedule
We're-
or so, and they're off. So we have 7 boats in this race. Saratoga A, all the way closest to the finish line shore here, where we have our commentating tent on the left side of your screen. Niskayuna next in 7, Port Jefferson in 6, Saratoga B in 5, Burnt Hills in 4, Niskay B in 3, and Saratoga C in 2. Cool shot here. We haven't had this angle yet this morning, so you got boats warming up on the bottom of your screen, the racing happening on the other side, the lovely regatta view neighborhood there, and even a little bit of mountains.
It's a beautiful
Upstate New York.
I
This
would get
is
that framed. But it looks like our
Screenshot for
favored club today for this race is out ahead. That Saratoga A boat and then the Niskayuna A boat about a length behind, and
They're
about a length
rivals,
behind
those
them.
two.
Oh
They're
yes,
locals, they're neighbors.
they
but
are. Locals and rivals.
Saratoga versus Niskay, a big rivalry here in New York State and in the capital region. And watch out, you got Port Jefferson also
Yeah.
trying to get into that mix.
Trailing
They've
up
got
on that Niskayuna crew.
contact there. About a full deck of overlap between Niskay and Port Jefferson on
looks
the
like
left side of your screen.
Burnt Hills in 4th place currently. Saratoga rowing B in 5th place at the moment.
Yeah, they got a little spooked there in the first 500. We'll see if Saratoga B can regain their composure and eat back into that lead from Burnt Hills.
And
They
then it
did have a
looks-
strong
yep.
time this morning, I think. I'll check if they had the time trial as well. We only have 7 boats in this race, so there's a chance we just went straight to final. But regardless, Saratoga leading here.
Leading the pack.
They opened their lead up to about a full length of open water between them and the trailing Niskayuna crew.
So Saratoga has 3 boats in this race.
We love our Cox quads.
Yes. In lane 8, lane 5, and lane 2.
So if my knowledge of the 8th grade boys is correct, we've got Ian Dodds, Parker, Sam. Who else was in that boat when they launched? Can I remember? It's escaping me. Who was 2-seat? 2-seat, I'll see you when you cross the finish
Whoever
line.
it is, they're
You're
doing
rowing.
a
Look
great
at that. I
job.
should be able to identify them based on their catches. They look so good. Niskayuna still trying to push off for open water on the trailing Port Jefferson. Then Burnt Hills and Saratoga B following up next, followed by Niskayuna B and Saratoga C just out of the view of our drone here.
Yep, it has spaced out.
Check out those spacing between the puddles here from our leading Saratoga crew. They're getting a lot of meters per stroke there. In these quads, you can really see the rhythm of the oars. You can kind of think about it like a catapult or like just launching the boat forward between each stroke. Seems like the oars just accelerate through the water. It's getting hot, Caitlin.
It is getting hot.
Things are heating up here at the New York State Championship.
Temperature-wise,
If you're just joining us.
this race, we have our boats all spaced out. Everyone looks like they're holding position. Again, anything can happen.
People are making moves.
But everyone is pushing away from the person behind them.
Saratoga continuing to extend their lead over Niskayuna, maybe extending their lead about half a boat length by a couple seats over Port Jefferson.
And then Burnt Hills sitting in 4th place over Saratoga Rowing B.
And trying to keep all athletes safe with our officials launches, but worth acknowledging that we have Port Jefferson sitting in the wake of our officials launch. That's an extra challenge they might not have anticipated.
If you can see fairly closely that launch,
there's a ripple.
Yes, who is sitting in their own full lane. Okay, interesting.
You know what? That's
are
strange.
Yeah.
There should be a boat in that lane.
There should be.
Who should be in that lane? Port Jefferson should be in that lane. So I wonder if we're looking at Saratoga B
Interesting.
in 3rd place.
Yeah. We will know soon enough as they are coming into their last
We'll check out the chevron blades or not. I think it is Saratoga B sitting in 3rd.
Be.
So
but
we're having missing Port Jefferson. Poor Saratoga B. And
Quite
Burnt
a
Hills,
large
honestly,
wake.
they're each sitting in the absolute worst point of the wake.
Yes, all of them, yes. As you can see, that V that kind of had
Oh, it was
veered
Jacob.
off of the back.
It was Jacob.
Oh,
Jacob, I'm sorry.
Hannah
Here comes Ian,
apologizes
Parker,
severely.
Jacob, and Sam coming through their last 250 like superstars with about 6 lengths of open water to the 2nd place Niskayuna crew.
They deserve some soda.
Go get yourself a $20 cup and refill it
All weekend
all
long.
weekend. That's gold for Saratoga. Here comes Niskayuna. And we have a missing Port Jefferson. So it originally called as Port Jefferson in 3rd. It's actually Saratoga B.
It is Saratoga
Currently
B.
trying to get into this mix, but Niskayuna are kind of running away with the 2nd place. Able to extend their lead over Saratoga B, but unable to catch Saratoga A. Here comes Saratoga. Nice direct catches here.
Pushing across the line. Last 5 strokes for Saratoga B.
Really nice acceleration from those athletes. Pushing all the way through the line. Here comes Niskayuna. B. And let's see if we can pick out the bow number on this trailing crew here coming in next after Niskayuna B.
That looks like it's going to be Burnt Hills.
Now the sprint can be fast and furious, but it's hard to actually stay together as you each might think of the intensity or the acceleration a little bit differently. You'll see different athletes that say, oh, it's time to sprint. I better open my shoulders as hard as I can. Whereas other athletes are going to start pushing their legs as hard as they can. And since we're all trying to coordinate things together, that can lead to actually the boat feeling a bit disjointed or wonky. So as these athletes are sprinting, we'll notice the crews that are moving the best are actually doing the same thing at the same time.
And it might feel hard. It might feel significantly harder once you are out of rhythm with everybody else, but the pain has taken over
You feel like you're
all
on a
parts of your
mechanical
brain.
bull or something.
Exactly, and you are just counting down how many strokes until I
Keep
get
your
to
heads
stop.
in the boat. Keep your heads in the boat. Your coxswain will
So
tell you
coming
when
across
it's over.
the line, that is Saratoga Rowing C. To conclude our boys U15
Nice
Coxed
racing.
Quad. Next race that we're looking at is going to be boys novice Coxed 4. That race was supposed to go off at 2:31.
Can we get back on schedule?
We are getting close. So that will be another 9-boat race. So these novices, there's no age gap, our age cap on being a novice. It is just your first year of rowing. So I know we've had U17, U15, U16, it's just, you know, U19. Everybody underneath that age, if you are in your first year of rowing and you're still in high school, this is the race for you. Looks like we had something going on at the start.
Yep.
Potentially false start, potentially some breakage. Same thing that we
Fours
saw.
are hard. Fours are hard.
Was it another
It was another four,
It was another 4. So they are pushing their way off the course. So that boys novice Coxed 4 that was supposed to go off at 2:31 will be restarting at a later time.
Let's talk about why fours are hard while we're here waiting. Maybe we'll get back on schedule and we'll have the girls junior U17 double go right at 2:39.
Yeah,
I have hope.
that would be awesome.
But while we wait, fours are hard because in sweeping, each person is only in control of their pressure on one side of the boat, right?
And that bow seat has a lot more leverage
They've
than
got
everybody
more leverage
else.
up there. Physics, it's simple physics, right? And so when the bow seat has more leverage, everyone's in control of one side of the boat. Let's say you've got a really, I don't know, sometimes it's a power differential, sometimes it's timing. Both are valid, like, realities that you have to think about when you're rowing. And so if one person is applying the power at a different time than another athlete, they'll actually pull the boat around with that power at that early timing. And so let's say bow seat, maybe they're a port rower, and they go just a little bit early. They get their blade in first because they're excited, and they start turning the boat with that early catch because no one else's blades are in the water yet. So they're the only one applying pressure, and so they pull the boat all the way around, and the coxswain doesn't have enough time or powerful enough rudder to impact the steering and correct back.
Exactly.
So in those first strokes where you're coming from a standstill, trying to get up to your peak speed as quickly as possible, that 4 is really tricky if everyone's not doing the exact same thing.
Yeah. And to confirm, in that 2:23 race, that U15 Coxed quad, where we were missing Port Jefferson in lane 6, we just saw them come down outside of the lanes. So
Something happened.
They did not race.
They looked okay. They were in okay spirits.
Everybody looked
right?
okay.
No one was crying
Who
or
knows what
really
happened.
injured. Otherwise, we would have escorted them via safety launch. But something happened.
It looks like we have the
Sheriff's going up there.
The sheriff is
Zooming. We're here at the finish line
Zooming.
witnessing law and order take place.
What
I
is
hope-
going on?
I hope everything's okay. Might have a situation up near the start. I don't see any other commotion on our screen here, so unclear what business they're attending to. Maybe some hoodlums by the kayak shack.
Ooh, or like a swimmer across the lanes, or
Ooh. What else could be happening?
I know.
We're just speculating here at the
We are
finish
just
line.
speculating. No idea. But here comes that sheriff boat going up the lanes.
They're fast.
Incredible speed.
And actually, you might think, oh, they're waking everybody out.
There's nobody.
When they travel that fast, it's actually much better.
Look at
we
them
have a
go.
pleasure boater now doing the same thing. They've been inspired by the sheriff. That wake is bad.
That week is bad. UK's, oh, wow. Look at that sheriff's boat go. Beautiful.
Where are they going? What's the hurry?
Honestly, that pleasure boater might be one of ours.
No, I don't.
If they're traveling at such a speed, the sheriff's boat has
And the
slowed
sheriff
down.
slowed down at the start line. I'm gonna talk to my sources up at the start. Hold, please, as
They're
I
still cruising in. What
communicate
is
via
going on?
WhatsApp.
Yeah, we do not have any boats in the stake boats. So we are not currently waiting on a race at the moment. We will tell you when they get into the stake boats. again, we just had that novice coxed 4 with some sort of a false start within the breakage zone, that 2:31 race.
And we thought we were going to get back to schedule.
It looks like that's not going to happen.
Having some sort of situation here with one of the Saratoga launches. So it doesn't seem like there's any riffraff up there.
Bummer.
It doesn't seem like it's as exciting as we'd hoped.
Nothing to write home about. It might just be a stuck launch.
Might be a launch that ran out of gas, and the fastest way to get him a gas can was
the sheriff.
The sheriff to deliver it. That's our current theory. Stay tuned. Bear with us. We're all here together. We are a little bit behind schedule.
We are. But you know what's coming up? Mother's Day. Another shout out to your mother. Just
give
great.
her a call.
We
give her a hug.
Thank you.
Appreciation is key, right? Like everyone wants to be appreciated in this world.
If you're an athlete and you're getting off the water, go run up, give your mom a hug, give her a text, give her a phone call.
She drives you to practice.
She does.
And even if maybe not everyone has a mother too, it can be a great day to also show appreciation for any parental figure in your life.
Any sort of guardian.
Grandmothers, just matriarchal type figures that give you any kind of mentorship, love, care.
A thank you goes a long way. My sister's a kindergarten teacher, and she just had all of her kids write Mother's Day cards. And you know, you're about 5 years old. You're not exactly sure what to write on this card. And one kid decided that he was going to write, "Mom, I love you so much because you have high cholesterol." And he spelled cholesterol correctly.
Wow.
Exactly.
Kindergarten.
So kindergarten, you never know why you're going to appreciate your mom. It might be because of some awesome food, some stories at night, being there for you, or having high cholesterol. Wow. So kids are thankful for anything about their parental figures. So happy Mother's Day to all of our moms. We appreciate you.
Big shout out to all the moms here volunteering at the New York State Championship as well. You guys make the world go round. A special shout out to the food tent volunteers here at Saratoga. They not only are supplying the Saratoga athletes that are racing with breakfast, lunch, and basically dinner, but also all of our volunteers as well. So we have a huge volunteer group here that's set up making this regatta possible, making it run smoothly. And the only way you can do it is by keeping them well fed.
So I am new to the Saratoga Rowing Association area. I'm new to the program, and the welcome that I received from those parents was amazing. The parent tent that we have over here on the boathouse side of Fish Creek is spectacular, and honestly getting chills even just talking about it.
And then you get over to the other side of the course too. For everyone who's watching at the Lees Park side. You walk down that strip of all the food tents, and you're basically getting thrown stuff from families that aren't even yours. You're wearing some other crew's clothing, and everyone here is just so generous and working together to make sure everybody's well taken care of with this long weekend of racing. Speaking of taken care of, we've gotten some news here from the situation up at the start line. We have a stake boat holder. Speaking of our volunteers, they are having a bit of a medical issue. It's all the details that we have. So they're getting escorted down the course by the sheriff straight to EMS, who we have set up right in the center of all that activity there in Lees Park.
Yep, and if you are down there, please give them some space. We are looking to get whoever is having some sort of a medical issue the care that they need. So please give them some space, give the sheriff some space, so that we can get this person proper care.
And again, as we don't have the full details of their situation, but it is getting quite hot out. It's maybe unseasonably hot. It's only May 13th, and it's almost 80 degrees out. So a good reminder to all athletes to be very mindful and thoughtful about your hydration. Electrolytes are super important when it gets hot.
Sun shirts,
the layering, the sunglasses, the hats, you know, like use every tool at your disposal to keep your body happy and healthy here.
Yep. So there we have both police, sheriff boats pulling in to the Lee's the state boat launch. Again, give them some space, but this is a great reminder to take some water. Like Hannah said, drink some water, stay hydrated, get those electrolytes in, make sure you have sunscreen, please reapply. We want everybody to travel home safe.
And come back tomorrow safe.
And come back tomorrow safe. We are not looking for any sunburns.
The sun is draining. It zaps you. So as that individual gets taken care of and we try to get back on schedule for you all at home watching or those of us here on site,
we are loading in a race.
Believe we'll get another race into the stake boats. We had someone come in for that like stake boat holder. One of the races we're waiting on is the boys novice four.
It could be doubles. So it will either be the boys novice Cox 4 from 2:31, or it will be the girls junior U17 double petite final, which was supposed to go off at 2:39. So, not to make everybody jealous on any other crew, but over at the Saratoga tent, we, in the morning,
she's giving the inside scoop.
Breakfast sandwiches.
It's true. I mean, take notes. Like, I wish everyone could experience
with
this.
With a hash brown. You got all the condiments that you could ever imagine on the side. Kind of choose your own adventure that way.
But the hash brown's inside.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
The hash brown is a layer.
It is so good.
Within
and I didn't believe it. Everybody here had said, you got to wait.
Get ready.
Don't even eat breakfast. You're going to want 10 of these.
You want to know the saddest thing of having no commentary for the time trial?
Yeah, I know.
I didn't have a breakfast sandwich.
No breakfast sandwiches. I know.
And we have the same scenario tomorrow. I think I'm just going to show up and volunteer in some other capacity just so I can have a breakfast sandwich.
Or just walk over here and grab a few. Bring it back home.
I mean, if you want to volunteer for the New York State Championship, we could use more volunteers.
We could.
Thank you for your generosity to our volunteers, and 2, you get a breakfast sandwich if you do it.
Oh, we will pay you in breakfast.
This is a bribe.
We're bribing you. Breakfast sandwiches.
And we have this race underway.
It looks like the doubles.
It does look like doubles.
Yeah, especially over here. Yeah.
So
it looks like
girls
doubles.
junior U17 double petite final or B final. 9 boats across: Oakneck B, Brighton B, Rome-Ecurie C, Brighton A, Poughkeepsie A, Manhasset High School A, Mohawk Homeschool A, Pelham Community Rowing A, and Albany Rowing Center B. Ooh, great side shot. Get a look at the chaos that is the first 250.
That is.
It's a lot of people, a lot of different energies.
You can
fast and furious.
Bow numbers surging.
Yeah, just take a look at those bows. They're
trying
moving
to get any sort of inch ahead. The bow seat of Oakneck looking over to a quick Brighton Rowing Club out in lane 5.
Double is a super fun boat class because you get to really work in tandem with one other person. It's kind of like a partnership, a really special one-on-one relationship. You have to have a lot of trust with your partner. Your bow seat's the one that's making the calls if there are any words to be said in between strokes. That can be quite the challenge to speak while you're rowing, especially on a hot day like today. So you'll see maybe bow seats taking a peek over their shoulder to say, we're moving, we're a seat up, we're up on Brighton, we're down on Poughkeepsie, whatever it is, that bow seat is the one that's kind of in charge of relaying that information most of the time. Sometimes you'll see the stroke seat take a little peek just for that visual cue, that motivation of the race going on around you.
Like
Brighton looking over.
A bit of an Oak Neck, a Romerica Rye, and a Brighton A.
Yeah.
Bow ball and bow ball.
And Romerica Rye C, I think this is. That's in contention for the first place here. Oak Neck B really trying to stay with it here. They do have Brighton B is between them in lane 7. And so that gives them a little bit less of that peripheral cue. So they can't quite feel them as easily here in the Oak Neck entry in lane 8. So you'll see that bow seat taking a little bit of a peek over. Whereas Romerica Rye C and Brighton A have the advantage of feeling one another out. They are right next to each other. They can feel the other's presence. They can hear the oars, hear the rush of the water. And who do we have here? Oh, some steering issue. It looks like maybe from Pelham. They'll steer back over. Again, doubles often don't have toe steering, so no rudder that the athletes can control with their foot.
Yep, that looks like Pelham and
So they're going to have to crank it on starboard a couple of strokes there in the Pelham boat to get centered back in their lane. That safety launch, making sure the athletes aren't trying so hard that they're totally unaware. We hate to see it where an athlete actually loses control of their boat's movement as they're just going full exertion.
A nice drone flyover here of all crews.
Looks like Poughkeepsie here on our screen with the striped blades. Currently sitting, looks like in 4th place.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe 4th or 5th place. Really tight battle between Poughkeepsie and Brighton B.
It looks like still, though, we have Brighton Rowing A, Romerica Rye C, and Oak Neck B out ahead. Hard to tell from all of these angles on who is ahead, but those are the 3 boats that we have that have surged out ahead of the pack.
Surge from Romerica Rye C here. That stroke seat sitting on the bow ball of Brighton. And maybe even the bow ball of Oak Neck B. Oh, I don't know. Maybe they're charging back.
It looks like a charge.
The double is a smaller boat class, so the speeds are more variable here. It's more exciting, I think, to watch.
It looks like Romerica
change.
Rye C does have it slightly over Oak Neck and slightly over Brighton, but it looks like from these angles now that we're getting, it looks like it's Brighton A and Romerica Rye C that are dueling it out in first place contentions. And a great race between Poughkeepsie and Manhasset. Also bow ball to bow ball. Slightly behind our top 3 right now, Oak Neck, Romerica Rye C, and Brighton Rowing A. They're in the last 250 here.
And the wind is turning into a bit of a cross tail. So these athletes actually being pushed along the course by Mother Nature. Thank you, Mother. Mother's Day weekend.
Okay.
And it's going to be close. These athletes having to look over. It looks like Brighton making a pretty convincing move over Romerica Rye and Oak Neck with a similar charge.
Yep, Brighton with
Brighton
that.
on the move.
Number 5 on their bow deck. Coming across the right side of your screen now.
Brighton with the superior sprint 250, followed
Brighton,
by Oak Neck.
And Romerica Rye C.
And the racing's not done. We have a battle between Brighton B. Over there in orange is going to be Manhasset High School for the next place finish of 4th. And oh my gosh, I don't know.
That was close between
Poughkeepsie, I think, and Brighton B.
Poughkeepsie and Brighton B.
Here comes bows number 1 and 2 across the line.
Pelham in with number 1 and Mohawk with that number 2
So
on
Pelham
their bow
able
deck.
to kind of come back from some steering issues there to maintain a lead over Mohawk Homeschool. And now we've got Albany Rowing Center B coming across the line. And we are trying to get back on schedule for you. So we've got the grand final already underway with the favorite Augustine Classical Academy, ACA, sitting in first place with about 1K to go.
Yep.
There's Saratoga athletes Olivia Lill and Carrie Riley. They've been bopping all over the place. I think I've seen them like 7 times today. I was like,
racing it
hey.
quite a lot. All right, so we've got, it looks like a race in from lane 6, 5, and is that 3?
So that's Shen, Row America Rye A, and Oak Neck C. If everyone's got the right bow numbers. And there's a battle between Oak Neck A, Augustine Classical Academy B, and Albany Rowing Center. So a little bit of spread. Again, this is 9 boats across. It's really challenging for these athletes. Again, no coxswain. So they've got to be looking around to figure out where they are in this field and use that external motivation of the race going on around them to push themselves to new heights, to new speeds. But ACA and Saratoga with really, I would say, convincing margins on the rest of the field, especially ACA here with about 2-3 lengths of open on second place. Saratoga's got a few seats of open water. Let's see, who is that? Row America Rye, potentially here on the left side of your screen, followed by Oak Neck C. And we don't have the drone high enough in the air to see these other lanes, but I see a little bit of a bow charging on Saratoga here in lane 3. So that's Shen charging on Saratoga here. Can Saratoga respond 5 lanes across? It's hard to see them. It's hard to anticipate the moves that they're making when they'll sprint.
And who even knows if those athletes know?
They might not even know. They might have blinders on and just be focusing on their own boat here. Internal versus external focus. ACA far enough ahead that they can see their competitors behind them here. Last 10 strokes from ACA.
And it looks like Shen
might be able to eke it out ahead of Saratoga. We'll see who has the better last 5 strokes.
Yep.
Shen a little higher.
Yep. Shen over Saratoga, potentially by half of a bow deck.
And holy smokes, a 3-way tie for 4th. I don't know. I don't know. You'll have to go to you'll have to go to streamlinerowing.com for the results on that one.
That was Oak Neck and America and Row America Rye A. Oak Neck C and Row America Rye A.
There's ACAB. Albany, classic orange and blue. And there's Emma Willard. Beautifully done. Well rowed.
The
Congratulations.
U17 double final A.
So we're going for the big leagues here.
Yes. So now this race can be everybody. So so our previous race was U17, so you have to be 16 through 2023.
So you'll see a lot of sophomores in this race, in that race that we just watched.
But hey, if you are ready as a sophomore, you can come to this open
the world's
category,
your oyster.
this varsity double category. So this is the 3rd final. So this is final C.
I see some 4s. Caitlin, they're testing us.
They are 4s, so we might be back up to that boys novice coxed 4. Some questions on what is going to happen.
The athletes are tasked with executing quite a lot of moving pieces here. So the coach can't come with you when you launch. And so oftentimes in practice we'll rehearse a race warm-up. The stake boats are a little hard to practice when you're not here at a race course. So sometimes you have a coach that lays on the dock.
Yeah.
And they'll practice backing into the dock.
We didn't have that.
But, you know, it's not the same.
Yeah.
And you've got your coach there. So there's nothing quite like launching and then being totally on your own. Some crews struggle with what I call the mutiny effect, where if you have a strong opinion that differs with someone else and you're convincing, you might all unite against someone who has a different opinion from you, and you don't have the coach to mediate that kind of disagreement.
Okay, I understand why they're questioning what's going on with this race.
Because
they potentially might have had another false start with this boys novice Cox 4. So they are, as you saw probably 20 minutes ago, the same visual of them moving off the course. This has happened again. So this will not be the boys novice Cox 4 just yet. I'm on the edge of my seat waiting for this race to happen.
I really want to know who's going to come out on top.
But this is not happening right now. We will definitely have to come back to it. Maybe they will start them again, or they'll start the next race.
Maybe they'll do another time trial. Go one at a time.
You know,
no
like
stake
you
boat.
talked about that 4 is hard. It might take a third try.
It might.
Or another one. Thankfully, this is not the Saratoga Invite where we go until about 7 p.m. with races. So
true.
We do have time.
Everyone will still get to dinner on time.
But these poor boys have been out there.
It's been hours.
For a while.
Maybe not hours. But a lot of these crews launch 30 minutes, 40 minutes before your race.
They've probably been out here for an hour.
What time was the race supposed to be originally?
Their race was supposed to be at 2:31.
Okay, so they've been out here for an hour, at least. I hope they brought water.
And it will be a little bit longer until they get to take it in.
I feel for you. I feel for you, boys novice 4s. Shout out to the coxswains, especially in times of duress.
Yeah.
Often that coxswain becomes pivotal, you know, or even having one person in the boat that can help calm everybody. That leadership position doesn't have to be from the coxswain. But it's nice to have someone who's willing to kind of step up and unify the boat with a vision, you know?
These boys are going to be tired. The adrenaline spikes that they have had.
Both emotionally and physically tired.
Hope you're wearing sunscreen. They've seen the most action all day. They've had 2 starts. We had to wait for the sheriff to come.
One
so
boat rowing across the other way.
Interesting for them.
So if they're not going, we should have the girls' varsity double C final, or the third final.
Boys novice Cox 4, thank you for keeping it interesting today on Fish Creek. We are dying to see how this race goes.
The suspense is killing me.
It is. We are getting word that the course is clear, but in my view, I do see some kayakers out there. Thankfully, they are not on the course.
I've seen kayakers try to race the cruise. Rowing we're pretty fast.
I know.
So if you're trying to kayak alongside, sorry, your little lats can't match my legs.
Well, this is what everybody, you know, when you say, oh, you row, and people start to say,
it's a big misconception.
It is a big misconception. They think maybe you're talking about kayaking if they're not familiar with the sport of rowing, or dragon boat racing if they're not familiar with the sport. So
it could be fun if we had a drum in the coxswain seat, though.
That is what, or I mean, you know, the other misconception is that people just think their coxswain says row the whole time. That's definitely not what happens, right?
But I think if we had a drum, it could be really fun to think of the rhythms of the boat.
We could try. That'd be a good Saturday activity.
You're gonna have an exhibition race. We'll have a volunteer commentator staff composite boat, including a drummer in the coxswain seat.
Who do you think it would be? Oh,
it's getting a little breezy down here.
Breezy.
I don't know. We try to make them even boats. I feel like we could get 2 8s worth of volunteers
Stacey
here.
would love it.
I think she would love it. Let's see what's going on at the start here.
Doesn't look like much commotion is happening.
I see some doubles on the move.
Kayakers are getting a little close.
Which makes sense. We have 3 9-boat finals in the girls' varsity double. It's a lot of doubles.
Yeah, so this third final, so the C final, looks like we'll have Row New York A and Row New York B. So we'll have some teammates in there. Cortland Community A and B.
So random fun fact, I've picked apples from Cortland. They're good.
Okay.
They've got good apple orchards out there.
Like what's your favorite kind?
I think, is there not an apple called the Cortland apple?
Is it?
I think they have they have an apple
That's pretty cool.
that's just theirs.
You
I'll
know
look
what
it
I
up.
would want? A sandwich named after me. And guess who
Ooh.
has one? Our teammate Christy Wagner.
She's
the
our local Olympian.
Olympian. So if you are here, you're hungry. Putnam Market. It is in downtown Saratoga. It
Go
closes
explore.
at 6 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
If you go close to where it looks like they have a deli situation, they have a sandwich called the Olympian. And part of those proceeds go to our fellow teammate, Christy Wagner, on her trip to Paris 2024. So it's a ham, brie, apple, and honey mustard sandwich. I get mine on a baguette. It is delicious. So that's Putnam Market downtown Saratoga. Go check it out. They have multitude of stuff. It's definitely more of a French market, but it's one of my favorite places in Saratoga. Looks like we are heading off with the girls junior U17.
Some of these look like
double.
they're headed straight at us, and they should not be.
Ooh, where?
Like this boat here was heading at quite the angle.
Right. Okay, nope. Is this the girls?
It should be the C final. It should be.
Varsity C final. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of steering issue keeping me on my toes here at the finish line.
So we've got Oak Neck G out in lane 8.
Lots
Then
of us scholars from
BSRA
Oak Neck.
Row New York A, Albany B, Row New York B, Cortland Community A, Brighton A, Cortland Community B, and Newburgh Free Academy A.
Beautiful view. It is officially glitter hour here with the glare from the sun. And quite a tight pack here. We're 9 boats across. This is the C final for the girls varsity double. And it's competitive here. Everybody raced this morning in the time trial. It's pretty tough conditions. We've almost got glass in comparison now. Hard to make out the lane lines here with the glare. I see the orange blades on the right side of your screen. Might be Cortland.
Definitely a dogfight between these two boats. We will figure out who exactly they are.
Boat on the left of rating a little bit higher, so there is an advantage to high rating. You'll see like internationally at like the senior level that goes to the Olympics, athletes basing at 36. The Italians notoriously rated at a 40.
Very high.
So 40 strokes a minute. If you can think about the full body coordination and doing all of that, plus trying really hard with your partner, all of that, each stroke taking less than 2 seconds. But a lot of these athletes here at the girls varsity level will be somewhere closer to 30, 35, somewhere in that range, in the low 30s.
A chaotic looking view with the kayakers at the foreground of the screen and people warming up in the background, but the lanes are clear and we will get the spread for you in a minute on exactly how things are panning out.
So it looks like leading Oak Neck G on the top left of your screen, followed by 2 lanes over is going to be Albany B, which I think was the crew we were looking at overhead before,
Yep.
followed by Row New York B, and then a pretty tight fight between Row New York A, BSRA from Buffalo, and I want to
that
say
Cortland
and
A.
Brighton,
Yep.
maybe. Shout out to Row New York. As we kind of talked about earlier, entries from this program, their mission is through the discipline of rowing and rigorous academic support. Row New York mission is to transform the lives of New Yorkers regardless of background or ability. We've got 2 of those entries in this girls varsity double C final. Super cool to see that program coming out to Saratoga Springs for the state championship.
A beautiful day. Oh, here is a
We've got a Cox 4 here at the finish line.
Novice Cox 4 that we have been.
They're trying to get out of the lanes so that they don't impede this doubles race, because the double is coming into the last 500. You see that kind of grassy area here on the right side of your screen. That's about 500 to go. We've got a beach for the Regatta View Homeowners Association. They have all these kayaks down here, and Saratoga middle schoolers back in the day used to just get super hyped just screaming the word beach, because that was the signal that the end was near and that they could sprint without fear of getting too tired.
Like a secret code.
Yeah. And so we have that beach there signaling to these athletes that the end is in sight, but more common signal is the red buoys
Red
here.
buoys, definitely. Beach could also be taken as a different word, which is not the word that you were looking for.
No.
But it's a good code word. It looks like Oakneck G has definitely taken a substantial lead.
And here comes Albany. They've been pushing on the trailing boat to their right, which is going to be the Cortland Community A entry. Nope, excuse me, the Row New York B entry. So those two were neck and neck earlier in this race. And Albany has had a really strong move. Albany B here striding away, pushing off the psychological advantage of being up and rowing. As you get to stare down the backs of your competitors, you get to see when they start to sprint or surge a little bit faster, and you can respond in suit.
Yep, the crews are in their last 250 meters, that Oakneck G boat.
And watch out for BSRA from Buffalo here, making a move on Row New York B. So Row New York B just losing a little bit of steam here in the second half of this race. We'll see if they can hold on to third. We're losing our tarp here on the commentating tent. Apologies if you hear a lot of wind.
So it's Oakneck crew in their last 15 strokes of the race.
If you're just joining us, we're in the middle of the girls varsity C final for the double. Oakneck G here on their way to secure the victory. C final victory here.
And then it's that Albany crew B coming across the line for second. And then it looks like BSRA will take third from lane 7.
Row New York B here coming across their last 5 strokes. Got the bow seat looking around for the finish line. When is it over? This is taking a long time.
I thought it would have been 5 strokes, but it was really 15.
And here comes Row New York A trying to chase down the charging lane 3 Cortland Community. Row New York A. Really nice straight arm hang there from that stroke seat. Nicely done. I believe that's Brighton. And it looks like we're going to take you
coming off.
back up to the start. We still have some crews finishing there from Newburgh Free Academy. But we'll get to this B final here. Lane 8, 5. Looks like 2 lanes over. Let's see. But Albany Rowing Center A, really strong start here as they're about halfway, maybe through their race, almost. Maybe they're well over halfway.
Well
here we
over
go, last 500.
Yep.
We're trying to get back on schedule. It makes sense.
It looks like a race for first. Nobody is out clear ahead. We have 3 boats that are 2 lanes away from each other each. So as Hannah was talking about before, that peripheral vision is out the window. You have to take a full 90-degree turn either way to see those other 2 crews. And who knows if they know that they are even in contention for first place, especially from this angle. So it looks like those boats are from lane 8, lane 5, and lane 2. So Friends of Shen from lane 2.
It's their B entry.
Then Port Jefferson B and Albany Rowing Center A.
These letters mean nothing.
No.
It's anyone's game. All bets are off here. battle stroke for stroke between Albany and Port Jefferson B.
Yep.
It's like Albany still maintaining their lead, but Port Jefferson's not going away.
Nope.
They're persistent. And
Yep.
neither is Shen B over here in lane 3.
But right now it definitely
Or
looks like
2.
Albany A, Port Jefferson B in second place at the moment, and Friends of Shen B in lane 3rd. They are in their last 250 meters. From this angle, where it's hard to see if anybody has taken a move.
But we'll see athletes here sprinting. So technical aspect of sprinting is usually bringing the rate up and the power up. So trying to empty the tank, energy levels pretty depleted, but trying to just push a little bit harder here, go a little bit faster.
9 boats across, but the fields, the times will be pretty close together. It looks like Albany A will take the win, and then Port Jefferson, and then Friends of Shen B. And so here we have
Lane
7, Mount St. Mary coming in 4th.
Lane 4 is going to be Cascadilla.
Cascadilla A.
That's lane 1, Manhasset High School, followed by lane 5 and lane 3. So a little confusing because I thought we had lane 5 already.
I thought.
We'll get those results to you as soon as we
will
can.
check back in.
Again, if you don't have the right bound number, it's tricky out here.
It is very tricky, especially with that glare. Hard to see blades and unis. But we will get those results up on the screen
And just
as
like
soon
that,
as we can.
we have 3, maybe 4 races left, depending on that novice
On
four.
that novice quad. So this girls.
No, those are the novice 4s.
Oh
Heck
my
yeah.
gosh. Okay, we're past the breakage zone.
We've done it.
This
We've made it.
boys novice. Yep, boys novice, Cox 4.
So these athletes have been out here for almost an hour and a half, warming up and then trying to race once, twice, and here's the 3rd attempt. We did have one school or program. They were wearing orange.
They were wearing orange. They came in, so they will not be racing.
So we only have an 8-boat final in theory. We got some steering issues. I'm watching some steering issues.
Oh my goodness.
We
They
don't want
are
anyone to impede anyone else's
perpendicular
race.
to the race course.
And how can that happen? That can happen in a few ways.
It's okay.
We've talked about the timing and the pressure.
It's okay.
But we haven't talked about the crabs.
We have not.
Caitlin. Crabs are common, especially at the novice level as we're all getting coordinated. These oars are, how long is an oar? I don't actually know.
280.
I would guess. Oh, we know the centimeters.
We know the centimeters, 280 centimeters.
I'll look that up. They're long. It's not
Those
like
are sculling ones.
you think of taking like a tennis racket or something and you think it's an extension of your arm.
Yep.
Well, the oar
long.
is also supposed to be an extension of the human body, but it is much longer. It's heavy, it's awkward, and you're coordinating a full body movement along with it. And so if the oar gets stuck under the water because you don't take the blade out at the right time and the boat's moving pretty quick, the blade can actually get stuck under the surface of the water and then maybe even under the shell of the boat. And you can imagine that's a pretty jarring experience.
Very. So we are in the last 500 meters of this race. How
It's
it
happening.
was supposed to go down.
We've got
St. Joseph's, Canisius A, Our Lady A, Oyster Bay A, Liverpool High A, Manhasset Oyster Bay A, Liverpool High A, Manhasset High A, Nichols School A, St. John's A, and FD Roosevelt A. So that's how it was supposed to go down. I'm not exactly sure which boat had to surrender the race and come in for whatever reason. As soon as we know, we will tell you.
And again, these races, if we had the time trial this morning, were seeded based on those time trial results. So if you're in a higher lane, you had a projected or had a stronger performance in the morning. So we've been seeing most of these races kind of unfold with similar finishes from the time trial to side-by-side racing. But some people are really good at side-by-side racing and use that external motivation to their advantage. It looks like got two crews in the blue and gold, but they're from different places. So we'll try to get a sense of what lanes these are.
Last 250
Looks like lane 7 is leading Canisius High.
With lane 8 behind.
And lane 6 close following Our Lady of Lourdes.
I know we don't have lane 8 in view right now, but it looks like they are in second place at St. Joseph's A.
St. Joseph's looking strong here, but not
Very,
enough room to catch up to Canisius here.
Canisius A will take this. They are in the last 4 strokes.
Our Lady of Lourdes currently sitting in third, looking like it'll hold on to that third place position. These athletes are like, finally,
I know.
I'm home. So that's St. Joseph's for second. Our Lady of Lourdes in third.
Oyster
Lane
Bay.
5. Well done, all athletes here. Congratulations on a season well rode. Here comes lane 1, St. John the Baptist. Trying to stay together here even as you sprint.
You can hear those coxswains commanding their crews, trying to get across the line, finish the race out.
Here comes lane 2, ending up in what might be called lane 5. But they did it. Nichols School did it.
They did. They crossed
lane
the line.
0 FDR. Nice green outfits.
We have one more boat coming across the line.
But we're already panning up to
We
the
are already
varsity
panning.
double grand final.
Grand
Bow, 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 bow.
final.
And we have an early leader in lane 7.
And tons of teammates here. Tons
so
of
much
teammates.
Oak Neck, so much Mohawk Homeschool. Oak Neck B, Oak Neck A, which is currently in the lead. Oak Neck C, Mohawk A, Port Jefferson A, Mohawk B, Oak Neck E, City Honors A, and Oak Neck D.
So we
It's
have
an Oak Neck party, and
A,
we've
B, C,
crashed the
D,
party.
and E. We also have Mohawk A and B, and then Port Jefferson A and City Honors A. So
this is all
only two
seeded from
crews
this morning,
without
right? So
teammates.
Oak Neck B able to have a little bit stronger performance in those crazy chop conditions, but Oak Neck A taking advantage of this flat water here, looking super strong.
And who knows, that time trial, right? Like, as we've seen some teams
You only
catch
need to come
crabs
in
this
top
morning,
9 too.
You never know what had happened this morning. So
You might want to conserve energy.
Yep.
You never know the
You never
strategy
know.
going on in these athletes' minds. Lane 4 and 8 sparring bow ball to bow ball here, maybe slight advantage to lane 4. So that is going to be your Port Jefferson A versus Oak Neck B. Battling stroke for stroke. And it's worth noting how far apart those athletes are. They might be 50 feet apart from each other. So really hard to tell what the other crew is doing and use that external motivation, but it does appear great drone shot here. You can see the race unfolding before our eyes.
Pretty good battle for second and third and fourth.
Right, Oak Neck
And
B
fifth here.
currently sitting in second place by just about a seat over Port Jefferson over there in lane 4. Then in lane 6, Oak Neck C sitting in a very close 4th place. And then Mohawk Homeschool between them.
Holding on still.
Contact is huge. You
Contact
can feel
is huge.
that boat in your peripheral vision means you're in striking distance, especially in the double. Being a length down in a double is not the same as in an 8. And so you have some room to play with here. Sometimes it takes a little bit of buy-in, a little bit of maybe even placebo effect, saying that you're moving. Sometimes you start to move.
Sometimes you start to move, but it is clear that this Oak Neck A crew has taken the lead, taking charge, and they are pulling into their last 250 meters here, which is about a minute, potentially a little over, but a minute to go of the race. This Oak Neck A crew pulling in the lead. Still a battle for second and third.
I would say Oak Neck B has taken that second place. They almost have open water here on the next cruise from Port Jefferson and another Oak Neck C. But Port Jefferson making quite a charge here, trying to solidify their second place position with just about 20 strokes left in this race. It's going to be about time to empty the tank. Mohawk Homeschool just a little bit taken aback by the pace of these other crews, unable to respond in that moment. It's a fast-moving boat class. A lot of unity required between the two athletes. Here comes Oakneck A for gold.
Coming across the line in the varsity double grand final.
Ticket punched. On to big things this season. Fist bumps all around. Here comes Oakneck B.
Yep.
Port Jefferson, then Oakneck C. And just about half a length of open, we have Mohawk Homeschool A. And what another battle we have.
Yeah.
What the heck. Between Oakneck E and Mohawk Homeschool B.
In lane 3, yep. Mohawk Homeschool, then Oakneck E, City Honors, and coming across the line now is Oakneck D. So that concludes the girls varsity double final A or grand final. So here are the results from that petite final. We were wondering exactly how the
finish order of those crews. We just had some. We should have had 9 boats.
We were saying it correctly. I do think it was Albany and then Port Jefferson. Is that what we were saying?
Mount St. Mary, I don't remember calling that one.
I do not either.
So it might have had either a bow number switch or a lane switch, or your outfits confused us.
Yep. But if you're listening, that girls varsity double, the petite final, the B final, it was Albany with 6:12, then Port Jefferson 6:14, Friends of Shen 6:17, Mount St. Mary at 6:21, Cascadilla at 6:26, and then Manhasset at 6:31.
And we have 2 races left of the day. The boys freshman U16 Coxed 8. It'll be a 8 boat race. No, 7 boat race. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 8 boat race. Pretty cool to have that many freshman 8s out there. And the freshman 8 is fun because all those athletes are potentially in school together. They're all in, like, they've been together maybe even since kindergarten, depending on how much these athletes have moved in their young lives so far. So we've got a lot of close friendships, kind of like your siblings growing up sometimes when you row with people in your class. We'll kind of see what kind of magic these athletes can put together here. We've got Romare Karai, Port, Chaminade High School A and B, St. Anthony's High School, Niskayuna, Rhinebeck High School, and City Honors High School in this boys freshman U16 8. And they have to be both, I believe. They have to be both freshmen and under 16.
Yes.
So no older freshmen and no young sophomores.
So this race
Level
was supposed to go
playing
off at 3:19, but as we had talked about before, there have been a few debacles with the with the boys novice Coxed 4 that had to restart, and then a quick medical situation. So we are delayed, but these are our last 2 races of the day, the boys freshman U16 8, and then next coming up will be the boys varsity straight 4. Boys varsity straight 4, we have not forgotten about you. It will happen. We are just delayed, but we've definitely gotten a bit closer back on schedule. These boys are loading into the stake boats now.
And the 8s are pretty hard to maneuver up there, so shout out to all coxswains and athletes that are helping to maneuver these 60-foot-long boats. Like, think about driving a bus around when you've only really ever driven your mom's Mini Cooper or something.
Yeah, and you're 16 or under.
Right.
So you probably don't have your driver's license yet.
And instead of a steering wheel and a gas pedal, you have
awesome shot from the
you have
start.
8 15-year-olds
Yes.
who each have their own MO involved. Great start. So these athletes doing a start sequence, usually shorter strokes, just to get as many strokes in as quickly as possible. I have a little bit of a crab there in lane 1, City Honors, battling back to get up to speed.
Slight early lead out of lane 7 from Friends of Port A.
And a lot of contact here. So in the 8s, it can be super fun. They are 60-foot-long boats. So being a length up takes quite a lot of effort, but it gives you that much more confidence when you're up, and it can be that much more of a challenge when you're down a length. And so these athletes using the first 500 to get that competitive advantage or remain in striking distance of the front of the pack. You'll see athletes shifting here to a bit of a slower pace, not necessarily in speed, but probably in stroke rating. Most athletes will not elect to race at a 45 the entire 1500. They'll shift to something closer to a 35, 37. In these boys, freshman eights, maybe a little bit lower, depending on the skill level.
But
something that feels sustainable but still aggressive.
Honestly, it might be closer to 33. I remember in high school getting up to speed.
It's true.
But it looks like Romare Karai A is reeling back in front of Port A from lane 8.
They're kind of
Romare
skipping
Karai.
hand in hand away from the rest of the pack.
They are taking that.
They might not feel that way in the moment.
Definitely, probably not friendly.
But they definitely are using one another as competitive influences here, kind of motivating these freshman U16 athletes to go a little bit harder, to push the pace a little bit more aggressively. That's why I love
Friends
racing.
Of Port A definitely has it over Romare Karai at the moment.
Definitely.
But it is close, and we do have enough water to make a change.
Right, they're only about halfway through this race. 7:50 to go.
And it is definitely happening. There is quite a surge from Romare Karai A.
And dare I say we have a tailwind?
Dare I say.
Foot luck.
For the final 2 races of the day. And it looks like it is bow ball to bow ball with our lane 8 and lane 7, our friends of Port A and
that
our Romare Karai A.
That bow seat in Port trying to pass the bow ball, you might say. Like sometimes in an 8, especially, each athlete has a slightly different perspective on the race going on around them just because the boat is so long.
Yep.
And so that bow seat in Port actually can feel the bow ball next to them. They can feel the glimpse of open water between strokes, and nothing more than that bow seat wants to be like, hey, 2-seat, I want you to have this feeling with me. Like I'm going to give you the bow ball so you can feel this too. And on the other side, Romare Karai being pretty stubborn and saying, no, my stroke seat is not feeling open water just yet.
So it looks like Chaminade High in a solid lane, or in lane 6 in a solid 3rd place. A little bit out of the pack for spots
Medal
1 and 2, but definitely far enough away that they will not be taking home 4th. So their goal is just get across that line, right, and try to close the gap, try to close time-wise.
Right, and state champs, we might be looking at the next step in the postseason.
Exactly, margins. So it looks like definitely a fight for first here as they're about to come into the last 250. It is awesome to see both crews stubborn. I am
strong
not gonna
freshman
let
class
up.
from Port here, facing off against Romare Karai, who, mind you, has one of the most impressive depths of a program in the whole country, let alone in New York State. So Port really putting down an impressive performance here, challenging the top dog of Romare Karai.
It looks like Port has definitely taken it up a notch in rating, and this is strong crew from Romare Karai. They are leaning on it.
Romare Karai just unable to respond here.
Yep, it looks like
Port extending their lead, passing that bow ball feeling to 5-seat, even 6-seat here.
Wow. Really
strong sprint from Friends of Port.
Oh, awesome. I'm getting chills. We have some slap in the water, potentially an unexpected finish, but a beautiful race from Friends of Port and Romare Karai, but Friends of Port A did take it over.
There's Chaminade A across the line for 3rd place. And again, that's might be different scholastic versus club programs.
It looks
Here's
like
Chaminade B.
St. Anthony's coming in.
Over in Niskayuna by just a couple seats.
Yep. And
good freshman squad racing here.
Race in the back of the pack.
Bow ball to bow ball here between
Ryan
City
Beck.
Honors.
Yep.
Wow. Love to see it. Hats off to all these crews here on a great season. Congratulations here as you take your last 10 strokes of this New York State Championship Boys Freshman U16 8 Grand Final.
Race in the back of the pack. Here we go. but it does look like City Honors.
Yeah,
took
that
it
was
over
tight
Rhinebeck.
racing. What good experience for all those
Potentially 3
athletes.
feet, right.
Wow.
We are on our last race of the day here at
Woohoo.
Fish Creek.
I want ice cream.
I know, or one of those sodas.
Oh, I'm going
Refill
to
all
Wild Bill's.
weekend.
Vendor tents are still open. Even though the racing is wrapping up here, they're still taking your business. Get
Hey,
your
and if
gear.
you
The
don't
good colors are
want-
going
If you
for
don't
those
want
shirts.
gear and you don't want a soda and you don't want ice cream, and
Okay.
maybe you're in the mood
What
to
do I want?
buy a boat.
Whoa, I didn't even think of that. We do have boats for sale.
We do have boats for sale.
We do. Just ask anyone.
Really, honestly, if you need a boat, ask around. There's definitely some for sale, or head over to those boat rep tents.
Okay, let's talk about a straight four. We haven't seen this boat class today.
I know, and I'm surprised that this race went off without an issue.
Well, this is the varsity four. So,
I know,
you
but
know,
even
but they don't
in
have a
like,
coxswain.
right,
It's true.
and so
It's true.
it is
Saratoga here, hometown heroes, about a seat of advantage over Canisius, but Royal America Rye has quite the lead here early on.
Hannah, you talked about earlier how difficult a four is to get off the line, right?
It's
We
true.
have that bow seat that has a bit more leverage over everybody else in the boat. So how hard they're deciding to go off of the start, it could totally throw off. You could be in a different lane within 3 strokes, right? So that's just where my surprise comes from off the start, that it went so smoothly. And yeah, one of these athletes is steering the boat with their foot. They have the rudder attached to some strings attached to their foot. So
It might be closer than I thought, Caitlin. I think the camera angle deceived me. Royal America Rye and Saratoga currently only about a seat difference here.
wow.
Canisius also has contact. And worth noting, no coxswain in this event.
No
So Royal
coxswain.
America Rye,
It is fairly
Saratoga, and
silent.
Canisius here battling one another, finding that internal motivation. Ian Sondhoff getting a really great rhythm there in stroke seated for Saratoga. Bow seat, Al Zani really cleaning it up.
Awesome camaraderie from the Saratoga crew. We see them out from the...
They're sinking the dock.
They are sinking the dock.
For
Everybody is
solidarity.
out there, wants to be in
Jack Galvin
in the
and Paul
action.
Cuneo in the engine room of the straight four. They are moving it right along here.
Our last race of the day is about to pull into those last 250 meters. This boys of varsity straight four, so no coxswain.
And it's hard to tell exactly how this race is going to play out here. We've got Royal America Rye and Saratoga gunning for first and second place. Canisius just unable to match that second 500 speed, so they find themselves bow to stern down on those leading 2 crews. Again, this headwind, slight condition. It's a bit confusing, the conditions. These athletes just trying to meet Mother Nature where she is.
Ooh.
We'll see who has the better final 20 strokes here. Saratoga or Royal America Rye. Who's got their blades in the water?
Oh
Who's
my gosh.
cleaner? I have goosebumps and it hasn't even ended
Oh
yet.
my gosh.
Really great
Royal America
racing
Rye
here.
trying to reel them in. Oh my gosh, Royal America Rye took it by maybe 6 inches.
It's a huge result
Definitely
for
a photo finish
Saratoga.
that we will need to recap.
Great fight from Canisius, and here comes Manhasset High School through their last 5 strokes. Iconic orange and blue boat. Orange unis, blue boat. They'll come through the line for 4th. And then we're just waiting on St. Joseph's Warwick and St. Joseph's B.
I'm not
I'm
sure
only
if all
seeing
of them
one-
have made it.
I'm only seeing 1 crew, so my deductive reasoning would say that that is just going to be Warwick, and we lost our St. Joseph's College entries.
Yeah.
Perhaps a scratch, perhaps they wanted to hit the road. If they're just boys
Hey,
going
maybe
home.
they were also in the 8. And they're pooped from the day. I would be
I'm pooped. I didn't even get out there.
Thank you, Warwick crew. We coming across the line, finishing out our lovely day on Fish Creek. Great racing, all crews. Please make sure to hydrate. It will be a hot day tomorrow as well.
And windy. It's supposed
And
to be
windy.
windy, so bring your game face. Don't let Mother Nature see your fear. Okay, thank you so much. We'll
Thank
talk to you
you.
tomorrow.